It has been a while. Let's see if I remember how to do this. Hi, I'm Sam, and welcome to my YouTube channel. On this channel, I talk about shows that were canceled after one season. I talk about the characters, the storylines, and where I would want the show to go if I was a writer on a hypothetical second season. So, okay, it's been a couple months since I posted the last video. So much has changed. The first major one that you may have already realized is I got a new microphone. After the last video, I had so many issues with that microphone that I was like, I need to buy something new and I need to buy something good. So hopefully everything is going to be better now. I'm having a lot of fun with this. The second change is I got a new tripod, which is very exciting. My friend Jen gave it to me. Jen is always in the comments in these videos, so hi Jen, thank you. Another little change, I just want to give a little shout out. So in the past couple months since I have posted this video, I have met so many new people, and so many of them have been like, oh, like what are things that you do outside of the job that we all met at? And I'm like, oh, I post videos on YouTube. And in that amount of time, since I've met them all in March and April, I have not posted anything. And so thank you all for believing that I do actually post on this channel. Thanks for the subscribes and the watching the videos that I have posted. And I hope that you really like this one. Hello to all of my new friends. I'm glad that you also like multiple hour-long videos about things that you've never heard of, or at least vaguely heard of. That is how many of us bonded. Anyway, so that is my introduction. Let's get right to the video. Today I'm going to be talking about Selfie! Selfie is a sitcom that was based on the musical My Fair Lady, which before that was based on the play Pygmalion. The main characters' names in the show Selfie come from the main characters' names from My Fair Lady and Pygmalion. But we're going to discuss the characters later. I always give a little intro and then I talk about the characters. The pilot is very much a My Fair Lady story. Like it's very much a My Fair Lady adaptation. And then as the episodes go on, then it starts to become its own thing. I feel like that's just sort of how things go on TV shows that are adaptations of things, but rewatching the pilot after seeing the whole thing, I was like, yeah, this is My Fair Lady. So in this portrayal, Eliza works at a pharmaceutical company and she has a really big social media presence, but she realizes that while she has all of these social media based relationships and all of these connections, she doesn't really have any connections in real life. And so she goes to Henry, who works in marketing, and she's like, can you help me like become a person who can make real life connections? And Henry at first sees her as some sort of like marketable product. He's like, oh, like I can do something with this. But then eventually they become friends. This show was created by Emily Kapnick, who also created Suburgatory and As Told by Ginger, so I did recognize the name when I saw it come up. And Selfie has a really interesting story when it comes from airing on TV to streaming. I think I remember this happening. So this was 2014. The show was all about social media. So while the show did air on ABC, a month before it aired, they released the entire pilot on Twitter. I can't really imagine that happening now. I know that in like the 2014 era, like there were multiple shows that released significant amounts of the show on social media. I feel like there was another show that released like full episodes online, but I think that releasing the entire pilot on social media a full month before releasing it on air to really get that hype up and to be able to share it with other people, I think that is such a good way to market the show. I don't remember watching it in its entirety when it came out, but I do remember seeing clips of it all over Tumblr. It's like the 2014 era of Tumblr. That is how I found out about the show. Update, I sent a draft of this video to my sister and she said that we definitely did watch the first few episodes. So while yes, I did know the show from Tumblr and from watching advertisements for it for the other ABC shows that I watched, it's also why I have more knowledge of this show than many of the other people in my life. I do remember also when Selfie came out that there was this like, oh, there's a show called Selfie, like what is the world coming to? Like there was that kind of thing. And I don't know how loud those voices were compared to the voices that liked the show, but I do remember that happening because also social media, it was like on the rise. I just think that's also funny, just thinking about how like, I feel like there's a lot of shows based on the title alone. People are like, what are we doing calling a show that? Or what are we doing a show having that be the premise? I don't know. I think it's really interesting. And I think that also having the show be called Selfie, but then having it be an adaptation of a story that like so many people know. Even if you don't know My Fair Lady or Pygmalion, like you understand the concept of it. Let me get back to my notes so I can give you guys like the actual dates for things. Okay, so the pilot was released on Twitter on August 20th, 2014, and then aired on ABC on September 30th, 2014. One thing that changed within this month is that the pilot that was released online and the pilot that aired on TV were slightly different. They're generally the same, but the one that aired on TV is 26 minutes long and the one that was online is 21 minutes long, which did confuse me because all of the other episodes are 21 minutes. So I did mix up which one was which, but I got it now. Because of this difference, there is a lot of shortening of scenes, and there also are some completely different scenes, and I'm going to talk about both, and I'm going to tell you which one I like better. They have two completely different endings, and one of them I love the ending for, and the other one I'm just like, I would have been fine if I didn't know that this other ending existed, but now that I do, I don't like the other one. When the show was airing on ABC, it aired on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. from September 30th through November 13th. 7 episodes aired between those times. But Sam, you might be wondering, there's 13 episodes of the show. How do you know that? I didn't say that yet. A couple days prior to that November 13th episode, ABC announced that the show was going to be canceled mid-season and that no more episodes were going to air. And that time slot was going to be replaced by Shark Tank reruns and holiday programming. It's about to be Thanksgiving, so they're going to do holiday shows, things like that. But there were more episodes that were completed and ready to be aired, so they just had these 6 more episodes. But ABC was like, nope. No, but don't worry, a solution was found. On November 25th, the first of those remaining episodes was released on Hulu and also on WatchABC.com. The episodes were then released weekly until December 30th. The series was available to watch on Hulu from November 2014 through May 2015, then was removed from Hulu, and then brought back from May 2016 through April 2019. Since then, there has been no streaming option of the show, no physical media, anything like that, except for this one superfan on Facebook. Remember in my Willow video where I said that sometimes for these TV shows that were taken off of streaming, sometimes the only way to find them is through like Google Drive folders or like links that are shared between people. The only way to watch this show is this one person uploaded all of the episodes onto Facebook, and so you can watch it all there. Shout out to Selfie Ignite. And I do think that this is just kind of funny because like it's a show about social media, and so the fact that the only way that you can watch this now is on social media, and a social media network that was much more popular at the time that this aired than it is now. I love that. As I mentioned earlier, I don't remember actually watching this show back in 2014, but I do remember hearing about it, and as somebody who was in high school in 2014, I can imagine thinking adult writers trying to write like social media aspects into shows and trying to be cool. I can imagine seeing that be like kind of cringy and feeling that way. So I don't know if this is a show that I would like actually watch at the time, but I think that watching it now, it feels like kind of a time capsule. There definitely are parts that are like really cringy, but there are other parts that I'm like, oh yeah, this is sort of how social media was viewed at the time. So this was a nice little watch. Something that I talked about in my video for fakes, or I don't know if I talked about it, maybe I just like thought about it, but something that I wanted to do on this channel was like incorporate costumes in some kind of way that related back to the show that I was talking about. And I was like, oh, it would be really cool for this one if I like found the clothes that I wore in 2014 and I like wore them. That would be so cute. The one problem is that I was in New York this whole time and I was not home, which is where all of my clothes from 2014 would be. Then it took me so long to finish this video that I was able to have time to go home. Turns out I got rid of most of the clothes from 2014 that I thought would be interesting for the show. All I could really find was things with my high school on it, things with my high school job on it, and I wasn't about to wear any of that. I wanted to wear a Glee shirt. That's what I wanted to wear a Glee shirt. I was trying to think about what I had here that really like encapsulated 2014 Sam more than the Animal Crossing figurines. Then I realized I had one shirt that I think would really work, so please hold. I don't know if I got this at the 2014 Welcome to Night Vale tour or if I just like bought it online, but I figured that the best thing that I could wear that like really matched the 2014 version of Sam, especially since I have mentioned having a Tumblr multiple times at this point. How many minutes are we into this? And I've already mentioned having a Tumblr. I think that the best thing was to wear my Welcome to Night Vale shirt. So here we are. It's not Glee, but it's Welcome to Night Vale. And honestly, I think that may be best. Let's talk about the characters. The two main characters on the show are Eliza and Henry. I mentioned earlier that those character names come from My Fair Lady, and Pygmalion if I'm remembering correctly. So, okay. I did not watch Doctor Who, but basically everybody else in my life did. My family, my friends. It was very much one of those like all around me kind of things. And so I think that may be why my Tumblr dashboard was very into Selfie, because Karen Gillan, I think, had just finished her run as Amy Pond. So basically everybody that I followed on Tumblr was very excited for this show because they all loved her. Also, every time that I showed somebody like the poster for this show, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be doing something on Selfie next. Everyone is like, I love Karen Gillan. I love John Cho. And so I thought that was like very funny. Nobody knew the show, but everybody knew the actors. As I mentioned earlier, Eliza works at KinderCare Pharmaceuticals. She was not popular at school. She was bullied. And so that's why she turns to social media, because she can sort of curate how she looks. She has sort of found comfort in creating a social media presence. But because of that, she doesn't really have a lot of real life relationships, and she's realizing now how much that impacts her. Oh, her name's Eliza Dooley. That's her full name, and this is Henry Higgs, in contrast to Eliza Doolittle and Henry Higgins. So Henry works in marketing at KinderCare. He sees Eliza at first as like a project, a marketing project. He's very serious. The two of them are complete foils of each other. He is very serious. He's not the kind to have fun in the way that Eliza does. He thinks that he's having fun. So they really do bring that out in each other. It is really interesting to see how, like, at first it seems like Henry is just helping Eliza, but Eliza does also help Henry in that kind of way. Something that's really interesting is, okay, so remember that the show came out in 2014, so this is 11 years ago, not even full 11 years ago, because it's the fall of 2014, so this is like 10 and a half, no, that's not how math works, we're in 2025 now, so it's 11 and a half years. Anyway, so did you know that this show in 2014 was the first time that an Asian American actor played the romantic lead in a television sitcom? 11 years ago. That is so recent. And also, that wasn't the like original like casting idea. People on the creative team had to like fight to get John Cho in that role. The two of them are great together on screen. They're both great in their roles. I'm so glad that the casting is the way that it is. I thought that was interesting how like this show that nobody talks about anymore, that everybody just seems to have forgotten, was actually like groundbreaking in a way that I'm still just like, that's so recent. We have a couple other main characters. We have Charmonique, who is the receptionist at KinderCare. She becomes one of Eliza's good friends over the course of the show. I love Charmonique, she's so fun. We have Sam, who is the CEO of KinderCare. I think that he's sort of like a combination of Eliza and Henry. He is serious and fun. He's seriously fun. I love him as a character. I would hate to have him as a boss. I'm loving this as an audience. I'm loving it as an outside perspective. Oh, I feel like, again, like it's a sitcom. All the characters have to sort of be like over the top in some kind of way, but he's definitely sort of over the top. And we also have Bryn, who is Eliza's neighbor. Bryn and all of her friends are very much the 2014 Pinterest girls. It's really funny seeing that now. I wouldn't say that they become friends over the course of the series, but they definitely, like, they become closer. They understand each other a little bit more. They have more interactions that are positive or neutral. Here's my thing about what is considered a main character or a recurring character on this show. Hopefully, the fact that this is only on Facebook means that I can put as many clips as I want and it's not going to get a copyright restriction. So Freddie, who also gets his name from My Fair Lady, becomes Eliza's boyfriend over the course of the series. All 5 of these characters are listed as being in every episode. I want to know what makes them main characters versus what makes Freddie a recurring character. Technically, Freddie is not in every episode. I think he's in all but 1 episode or all but 2 episodes, something like that. I personally think that Freddie is more of a major character than Bryn or maybe even Sam. There's a couple characters that I'm like, I want to know like how many of their scenes were originally written and then cut. When I looked up, were Bryn and Sam in every single episode? It says yes. I don't believe them. Like, I don't think that IMDb is lying, but also at the same time, I don't believe it. Long story short, I think that Freddie should have been considered a main character. Some other recurring characters. We have Julia, who Henry starts dating. We have Terrence, who is Sam's son-in-law, who... I love Terrence. I wish we saw more of Terrence. He was so fun. We have Kevin, who is Charmonique's son. I also really liked Kevin. I was really excited to see Kevin again in the last episode. We have Eliza and Henry's coworkers. There's a couple of them, and I mentioned earlier that, like, since it's the sitcom, everybody's character traits have to be a little on the extreme side. Something that I really liked about all of the coworkers is that Eliza and Henry are complete foils of each other, so all of the coworkers get to be, like, somewhere in the middle. It's interesting to see, like, where everybody lies in between. We also have Bryn's friends, so let's get to the episode summary. Remember I told you earlier that there were 2 versions of the pilot? Let's talk about both. The basic plot of the 2 pilots are the same, it's just a couple of differences, particularly at the end. I'm going to give you the general plot and then we'll talk about the differences later. The series starts with us learning that Eliza is one of the top sales representatives at KinderCare Pharmaceuticals, and she believes that her Insta fame is equal to everybody in real life loving her too, which is not true. Everybody at work is flying back from a conference, I think? A work trip. And so she upgrades to first class so she can sit next to Miller, who she has been dating, only to find out from a suntan line on his hand that he is actually married. This causes her to throw up, and as she's carrying those little throw-up bags down the aisle, they break all over her in front of all of her coworkers. So she hides in the bathroom. Henry Higgs, who works in marketing, tells one of his friends that people who are obsessed with social media, like Eliza, are what's ruining this generation. When Eliza gets back to her apartment, she runs into her neighbor Bryn and all of Bryn's friends, and she thinks that they're all talking about her, and really they're like, no, we're not talking about you. When Eliza's finally back in her apartment, she starts texting people, asking them to come over, help her feel better, because she still feels super sick, and nobody answers. And that's when she realized that she doesn't actually have any real-life friends. This brings her back to when she was in middle school, when she didn't have any friends and she was bullied a lot. At a staff meeting, Henry is congratulated by Sam for being able to remarket a pediatric nasal spray that was taken off the shelves for causing satanic hallucinations, allegedly. Eliza decides that if Henry was able to remarket that nasal spray, he might be able to remarket her. Eliza goes to Henry, and Henry's like, I don't know how to help you. Like, you cannot be helped. But Eliza's like, well, if you don't like me, then, like, you can turn me into whatever you want. I'm not leaving until you say you'll help me, but you can't be helped. You're addicted to the instant gratification of unearned adulation from a group of perfect strangers you insist on referring to as your friends. Our nasal spray caused satanic hallucinations, and you fixed that. Come on, I just want to change my image. You mean be a better person? Or that. Henry's like, okay, this sounds interesting, but you have to do exactly what I say. You have to basically follow my instructions exactly, even if you don't like it. He also says that Eliza must not interpret his interactions with her as anything romantic or even friendship, because he is not friends with her and he's not interested in her. At the front desk, Charmonique says hi to Eliza, and Eliza just says something completely unrelated, and Henry's like, Eliza, be polite. She says hi to you every single day and you don't even know her name. Say good morning to Charmonique. Ask how she's doing, and truly listen to her. Lesson number 1. Every morning as you pass by her desk, I want you to ask how she's doing. Totes, coolio, donezo. Let's start now. Okay. Open your lips and repeat after me. How are you? How are you? How are you? Good. Then, if you will, a follow-up question. How did you sleep last night? You know what? Not great. But that's because I had my 9-year-old in bed with me. He has sleep apnea. Did you hear that? Put the phone down. Charmonique and her son didn't sleep well last night. Now it's your turn to say something sympathetic. This is where one of my favorite lines in the episode comes in. Eliza has since gotten distracted from being on her phone, so Henry tells Eliza to say something sympathetic to Charmonique, and Eliza responds with, I'm really glad I don't have kids, and that made me laugh. Sam's daughter is getting married, and Henry was invited. Henry also got a +1 because Sam is like, Henry, you're lonely, and you need somebody. So here's a +1 for the wedding, and you have to bring somebody. Sam, you're gonna realize throughout this show is that Sam is very much like, you have to do this, but it's never like work related. It's always like something in people's personal lives. It's like, you have to bring a +1 to the wedding. It really makes the episode stakes like higher. But I just think it's so funny every time that happens. Anyway, so Henry's like, Eliza, you're going to join me for this wedding and you are going to be on your best behavior. It's going to be a great opportunity for you to impress Sam and impress the other people at the company. But also he doesn't tell her that Sam said that he needed to bring a +1. He just like makes it seem like, oh, like, let's go. He gives her a detailed list of how she should look for the wedding, how she should act at the wedding. Eliza realizes that she has absolutely nothing to match that, so she goes to Bryn, who invites her to her book club and gives Eliza a make-under. This then leads to a ukulele version of Bad Romance. If you forgot what year this show came out, I'm reminding you again, it was 2014. When Henry goes to pick up Eliza, he says, Eliza, do not bring your phone. Eliza brings her phone. While at the wedding, when Eliza is listening to the bride give the vows, even though some of the lines she thinks are like kind of weird, Eliza's like, oh wow, like I don't have anybody in my life who would say weird vows to me. And she realizes like how alone she is and how she doesn't have any of those connections. And again, it's like bringing her back to middle school. And so she goes on her phone to sort of dissociate from everything that's like happening and from the feelings that she's feeling. And that's when we realize like why she is so connected to her phone. But her phone goes off during a really quiet moment of the ceremony, which embarrasses Henry for bringing her. It embarrasses Eliza too. Henry says that he regrets offering to help Eliza, and the two of them argue before Eliza runs out of the church.
Have you ever made a mistake before?
Yeah, I have, when I agreed to help you.
Oh, really? Are you helping me or am I helping you? Don't think I didn't notice you didn't have a date for this event.
And literally, anyone else in the world would have been a better choice.
So you admit it. And it's no surprise you don't have a date because you are an unfun man.
Unfun is not a word.
And according to your ex-girlfriend's blog, that's why she broke up with you, so...
My ex-girlfriend? Did you Google me? Don't you dare Google me!
I was just confirming what I already know. You're a holier-than-thou, antisocial, judgmental, hyper-critical, workaholic... coxcomb.
Oh, I'm a coxcomb. Well, you, my dear, are a lost cause.
The next day while leaving work, while she's back in her like social media obsession, she talks to Charmonique about her son and they have a genuine conversation. Charmonique says that whatever Henry is doing, it's working. Eliza goes to Henry's house and it's raining outside, which Eliza had previously mentioned is her favorite sound. And she goes to take a picture of it, but Henry's like, just enjoy the moment, like live life, it doesn't all have to be on your phone. The two decide that they will keep working together and that they're going to bring each other out of their shells. Okay, so that's basically the plot of both of the pilots. There's a couple of scenes that are different between the two. One of them is when Eliza is on the plane, when she's in the bathroom talking to one of the flight attendants. The dialogue there is a little different. Is everything okay in there? Not really. My new boyfriend is someone else's husband. I barfed all over my Louboutins. The plane is full of my coworkers, and now I'm stranded in here, naked and afraid. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to vacate the lav. Okay, I'll vacate your lav, but can you at least grab me an extra stewardess outfit? I probably wouldn't do the lady tie, but the skirt, yes, and the button down, certainly, and why not? Sure, the vest. Ma'am, this is not a department store. There are no extra outfits. Carol June? Straight up now tell me, what would you do if you were me? I'd keep doing what you're doing. Is this cardio barre or Pilates? You look fantastic. Thank you. But what if you didn't want to show this off? It's amazing what you can do with 3 in-flight blankets tied sarong style. I'd spent years laughing at stupid idiots on the internet, and now that stupid idiot was me. Is everything okay in there? Not really. My new boyfriend is someone else's husband. I barfed all over my Louboutins. The plane is full of my coworkers, and now I'm stranded in here, naked and afraid. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to vacate the lav. Okay, I'll vacate your lav, but can you at least grab me an extra stewardess outfit? Ma'am, this is not a department store. There are no extra outfits. Carol June? Straight up now tell me, what would you do if you were me? It's amazing what you can do with 3 in-flight blankets tied sarong style. I'd spent years laughing at stupid idiots on the internet, and now that stupid idiot was me. Another scene that's different is with Charmonique's son, but the one that really stands out is the ending, and that's something that I want to talk about.
Henry? Henry? I can see you. You live in a glass house. Henry! Please open this door right now. Oh, you open.
This is the exit from my home. Excuse me.
Oh, come on, you were leaving?
Yes, I was.
Henry, wait. Not a lost cause. What you're doing with me, it's working. I wasn't on my phone because I was bored. That wedding gave me feels, and that scared me. I lashed out and called you a coxcomb, which is probably an incorrect use of the word.
No, I looked it up. It's archaic, but it's dead on.
Okay. Sounded a little bit like an apology. And I'm sorry too.
Hey, medium rainfall on roof with gentle overspill from gutters. It's your favorite, isn't it? No, Eliza, don't. I think that you're getting it. But you are, in fact, missing it.
And what about you? You get it?
I get it.
You get it?
You get it.
I don't get it. I don't think you get it.
You don't think that I'm getting it?
I think I should tell you how. You get it! Something told me it had been a while since anyone gave Henry a push. And sometimes we all need a push.
See, I get it. I get it. This is exactly the kind of thing that we need to work on. It's not funny when someone gets injured.
I'm sorry. You're totally right. I'll work on that. I swear. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's tomorrow's lesson.
Got it.
Showing compassion for others.
Great, and after that, you can come with me to Soul Cycle.
Yeah, I'm not going with you to Soul Cycle.
Don't you want to rock hard ass?
No, I don't.
Henry! Hey! Henry! Henry! I can see you. You live in a glass house. Henry! I'm not a lost cause. What you're doing with me, it is working. I swear.
Congratulations.
I need you. Please don't give up on me. There's so much work left to do. I mean, all my friends' names start with @ symbols. I get all my news from BuzzFeed. I have a negative Uber rating, and I have never, ever shown up for jury duty.
I rarely call my mother.
I wasn't on my phone because I was bored. That wedding gave me feels.
Feels.
And that scared me, and then I lashed out and I called you a coxcomb, which is probably an incorrect use of the word.
No, I looked it up. It's archaic, but it's dead on.
Okay. Sounded a little bit like an apology.
Huh.
I totally forgive you. And I'm sorry too.
Very good. Look. It's medium rainfall on roof with gentle overspill from gutters. It's your favorite. Eliza, don't. You think that you're getting it, but you're in fact missing it.
Yeah? So you're gonna show me how to get it?
No, sir. Not when you say it like that.
What?
Why do you have to make it so lurid?
I didn't.
You did. That's another thing we have to work on. You shouldn't feel compelled to make everything so sexual.
And you shouldn't be so uptight.
I'm not uptight. I'm formal. There's a difference.
In one version of the pilot, they stay underneath the roof the entire time, so they're like dry the entire time. They don't go out into the rain. And then in the other one, it's raining and Eliza pulls Henry out into the rain. He slips and falls, and I think that is a really good way of showing that yes, Henry is going to change Eliza, but Eliza's also going to change Henry. Even though at this point they haven't outright said that, it just shows through the actions that Eliza is going to be a force of change in Henry's life, and I really liked that. It felt a little less like one-sided, and it also made it so that like the woman was going to be a force of change. It wasn't just like the man was doing everything. I think that that was like a much better ending, and that was the first one that I saw. So then seeing that there was a different ending, I was like, oh, this is just like, it's a more passive ending, it's a more boring ending. I didn't like the one where they were just underneath the roof. I thought that the one where they're out in the rain, I thought that was way more exciting to watch as a viewer. It made me more interested in where the series was going to go. I think that you really need that ending to move on to the rest of the series. I just know I would have been like really mad if the other ending was like the only one. Episode 2 is called Untag My Heart. Episode 2 starts with Eliza telling Henry how much she loves the online haters because it means that people are talking about her, all of that, and Henry's like, you shouldn't like haters. because it just means that people hate you. But speaking of Eliza's haters, Henry walks into KinderCare Pharmaceuticals and he hears a bunch of people talking about Eliza, talking about like the way that she dresses, the way that she acts, and how nobody takes her seriously. So there's a lot of prime 2010 slut shaming. Henry talks to Eliza about the way that she portrays herself in the workplace.
You have to think about how you are perceived in this office.
No, I have to think about how I'm perceived outside this office, which is hot, which is what helps me sell drugs to oppressed old doctors, which is how I got to be the #1 sales rep.
Well, people are going to get the wrong impression when you're dressed like this and you act like this. Eliza, this is your second office relationship in the short time that I've known you. And I use the word relationship very loosely.
Okay, don't get all slut-shamey on me just because you don't get my generation. It just so happens we're a lot more casual about sex than you baby boomers.
I'm not a baby boomer.
Yes, you are.
I fall squarely within the parameters of Generation X. Thank you very much.
And one of the lines that I really liked here was, so Charlie is Henry's assistant, and I said, not necessarily an important line, but a funny one that I want to keep in. Henry is talking to Eliza, so he tells Charlie to not let anybody call the office, and so Charlie says,
I can't control who calls the office.
and I really liked that. Henry is like, this isn't acceptable behavior from a respectable young woman. But Eliza says that she is not going to be taking relationship advice from a slut-shaming baby boomer who isn't even on Facebook. Henry tells Eliza that unless she and Freddie are making things official, she needs to break things off with him.
You need to become the kind of person who doesn't spend all her time thinking about the opposite sex.
So like a lesbian.
No.
And so she joins Bryn's book club. Also, it's not just Eliza who bullied Henry for not having a Facebook. All of Henry's coworkers are also bullying him for not having a Facebook. So he creates an account and he gets obsessed with it.
While I was picking up a book, Henry was trying to resist the one book that's impossible to put down. He was figuring out what every grandmother had figured out 4 years ago. Facebook is crack.
I love when people say like crack who've obviously never done crack.
Well, the breadsticks are like what, then? Ryan, what can I use?
I don't know, something from your world. The breadsticks are like scrapbooking.
You're right, you're right. No, I'm a middle-class fraud.
Eliza tells him to not Facebook stalk his exes because once you go down that road, and so he does, and he accidentally tags himself in a picture. Eliza shows him how to untag himself from a picture, but that his ex probably already got a notification about it. So he goes to her house to clear the air. We find out that the two of them broke up because Henry is so obsessed with work that he doesn't know how to prioritize relationships. He only knows how to prioritize work. Eliza talks to Charmonique, and she says that the best way to stop sleeping with Freddie is to sleep with him because then she won't want to anymore. So basically the equivalent of a cheat day on a diet. She says that the universe will give her a sign if it's the wrong thing to do, and then she is hit by a car and falls into a manhole. Like the kind on the road.
The irony of falling into a manhole while texting Freddie was not lost on me.
Henry is at work late, as he often is, and he sees on Facebook that Eliza is in the hospital because she posted on Facebook that she's in the hospital. So he runs over. She is very injured, but since it's a sitcom, she's still able to talk to him and all of that. He asks if she's okay, and she's like, yeah. Basically everything's broken, but she's good. She has to be woken up every hour to take medication. And while he's there, just to say that he's worried about her, Freddie also comes over. He's like, Eliza, I can drive you home. I'm not going to come in, but like, I can drive you home. So that is sort of like building the relationship between the two of them. Meanwhile, Henry stays in his car outside of Eliza's apartment, and he's like, I'm going to call you in an hour to make sure that she wakes up to take the medication. This is sort of what I was saying before, how like the first episode was very much like a My Fair Lady Pygmalion adaptation, and then see now we're starting to sort of get into its own story. This is also where we really start to set up the love triangle, or the love angle, really. I feel like we always say a love triangle, but really it's just like one person in the middle. It's a love angle. But the love angle, or the love triangle between Eliza and Freddie versus Eliza and Henry. And that's something that we'll be continuing over the course of the series. Episode 3 is called A Little Yelp from My Friends. All of the episodes sort of start with a voiceover, and they usually end with a voiceover too. Eliza tells us how addicted to her phone she is, and how she has been making more of an effort to connect with people thanks to Henry, but she genuinely doesn't really care what other people have to say. Remember how I said that Sam, the company chair, I would not like him as a boss, but I love watching him as a boss? So he holds a staff meeting, and he has everybody in the company rate each other, as in like how well they know each other.
I want you to cup Henry's face in your hand.
I don't see anything about cup.
Look him in the eye and tell him on a scale of 1 to 10 how close you feel to him right now.
I'm feeling a 9.
Wally Kazam!
I give Eliza a 0.
But she probably won't notice because, as always, she's too busy staring at her phone.
Wait, what'd I miss?
The point, I'm afraid.
Henry finds Eliza eating lunch over a trash can, and he's like, what are you doing? He says that she needs to get Joan to have a more positive view of her. Eliza says that this is not possible because one time she ate Joan's lunch that was in the fridge. Like, it was like labeled with Joan's name and everything. So she knows that Joan is not going to like her. But Henry says that since Joan is so important at this company, Eliza needs to make a good impression. So her next assignment is to befriend Joan. And to prove that you can be friends with coworkers that are so different from you, Henry is like, I'm going to befriend Larry, who's one of their coworkers and is, very different from Henry. So Henry has a conversation with Larry and it goes very positively.
Larry!
Hiya, Henry.
Hey, smells good.
Yeah, chili and cheese.
I love it.
Yeah.
How's the wife?
Difficult, but I knew that when I married her.
The old ball and chain.
Oh, you're telling me.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Catch you later.
See you, bud.
So then when Eliza goes to Joan, she basically tries to copy the conversation exactly what Henry said, which, in Eliza's defense, in the past, Henry has been like, say exactly what I say, do exactly what I do. So now Eliza tries to copy the conversation and it does not go well because the context of Henry with Larry and the context of her with Joan are two completely different things.
Hey, Joan. How's the sandwich?
I wouldn't know. Someone stole my sandwich, took 2 bites, and threw it in the trash.
Sucks. Like your husband, am I right? The old ball and penis.
So since that conversation did not go well, Henry tells Eliza that she needs to do some research about Joan and then find some things for the two of them to talk about, which then leads to Eliza cyber-stalking Joan with the help of Charmonique. Joan doesn't have any form of social media, so it's a little hard to find information, but she does have a Yelp account where she reviews a ton of different things around the city. One of the things that she reviews is this dance class that she never misses. So Eliza's like, I'm going to go to this dance class. This is why we don't post on social media where we're going, because this is where cyber stalking leads to real life stalking. I'm just going to put that out here right now. If you are going somewhere, don't post about it online until after. Anything like that. If you are posting something on TikTok and you're just like walking around and you're near your apartment, be far enough away that it's not noticeable. Because I bet that Joan didn't expect that Eliza was going to cyberstalk her. And there's probably people that you don't think are going to cyberstalk you either. That sounded like a threat. So Eliza talks to Joan before this dance class, basically quoting her Yelp reviews back to her. Joan doesn't realize this, so she thinks that Eliza just has like really similar opinions. When one of the things that Eliza says is that she always goes to this dance class. Joan just like hasn't noticed her, but when the dance class starts, Eliza is like really bad.
So glad I made it on time. I stopped to get gas at the West Adams Chevron station.
That's the best one in Los Angeles.
I know, it's right off the 10, 8 cents cheaper than inland, plus their additives.
I feel the exact same way. I find the West Adams location never crowded and their mini-mart well appointed. Now, I will say that sometimes...
The numbers on Pump 7's keypad stick?
Yes, but if you ask
Rodriguez, a branch manager,
he will
wipe them down for you.
And that should alleviate the problem.
All right.
But the two of them become closer, and Eliza even offers to buy pizza afterwards from this place that Joan has posted that she really likes, and Joan invites Eliza over. Back in the Henry storyline, Larry now views Henry as a friend, and he tells Henry that his wife left him, and that the two of them should hang out. Sam has noticed this friendship, and he tells Henry that he needs to hang out with Larry. But not only that, he needs to let Larry stay with him. At Henry's house that night, he realizes how broken up Larry really is about this, and he says that maybe Larry should try to win his wife back.
Maybe if you made some big romantic gesture.
You mean like a flash mob?
That's not where my mind went, no.
Most women consider the flash mob to be the most romantic gesture a man can make, second only to a surprise proposal on a Jumbotron.
Well, it sounds like you've done your research.
Larry is set on a flash mob. I am once again reminding you that this show aired in 2014. At Joan's house, she finally picks up on the fact that Eliza Yelp stalks her when Eliza slaps the garlic knots out of Joan's husband's hand, telling him that there's oregano on the garlic knots, and she knows from these Yelp searches that Joan's husband is allergic to oregano.
I don't think that I can even finish this. I can.
That pizza is topped with lies.
But not oregano.
Eliza tells Joan that she was just trying to get to know her and trying to get closer, and so she leaves. The next morning, Charmonique can tell that Henry is wearing a breakaway suit, and she's like, do not do a flash mob. Larry always tries to do flash mobs, and his wife hates it. And Henry's like, wait a second, how many times has he tried to do a flash mob?
Half of the flash mobs on the internet are Larry related. And it better not be for Nancy, because she hates them. See?
Oh, God.
Look, this one's from the anniversary. This one's on her birthday. Oh. And this one, he catches Nancy off guard. She slips, throws a back at.
Larry thinks a flash mob is gonna get his wife back.
Nope. This is just another indication that he doesn't listen to Nancy or care about what she wants.
Eliza and Henry talk about their failed attempts to make office friendships, and Henry tells Eliza that he thinks that Larry is annoying, and Larry overhears this.
The only reason that I agreed to wear 3 breakaway suits to the office today is that I thought it would help me get rid of Larry, who I have learned is the most annoying person on planet Earth.
Hi, Larry.
God.
Really? You know something, Henry? I feel a 0 for you right now. A 0.
He apologizes to Larry, telling him that he thinks that a flash mob is a bad idea, but maybe a smaller romantic gesture may work. So Larry gets his wife flowers, and things are good again. Charlie tells Eliza that Henry wanted to see her in his office. Henry remembered that Eliza would only eat lunch like standing over a trash can, and just so Eliza wouldn't have to eat lunch alone, Henry got a trash can in his office so Eliza and him could eat lunch together. He asks why she does this, and she said that it's just an excuse that she says to people because when she was younger, nobody wanted to sit with her at lunch. So Henry stands with her to eat lunch. Episode 4 is called Nugget of Wisdom, and I liked this episode. Henry asks Eliza if she has any plans for the weekend, and Eliza's like, yeah, so one of my closest friends and I are a couple followers away from each other, so I have to do something really fun this weekend to cause a follower spike, or as she calls them, follow whores. Henry says that she should invest her time in doing something to help others, and in return, Eliza dares Henry to spend his weekend not working. Charmonique tells the group that her high school reunion is happening this weekend, and she's excited to see the guy that she is destined to be with and hopefully win him over. Eliza offers to go over and help her get ready.
This weekend, I'm finally going to get my chance to rekindle things.
Charmonique, I always look good. I could come over tomorrow night and help you get ready, if you think that would be selfless and thoughtful of me.
You know what? That would be selfless and thoughtful of you. Thanks.
Your turn.
Freddie asks Henry what he's going to do this weekend, and Henry says, I'm really excited for the salad that I have waiting for me at home, and Freddie says that that's really depressing.
Hey, Henry. Friday night, huh?
That's correct.
About to get turned.
Myself as well.
Really? What do you got planned?
Well, I was planning on going home to not think about work for a little while, and I thought I'd make and enjoy a big salad. I throw in some chicken I grilled 2 nights ago.
Henry.
Maybe a handful of tortilla strips for added crunch.
Added crunch.
You heard.
Henry, that's the most depressing thing I've ever heard.
But you must be blissfully unaware of the sound a mother whale makes when mourning the loss of her pup. She basically barks across the whole ocean.
I kind of side with Henry on this one. There are some times that I will have something like waiting for me at home, and the entire day I will just be like waiting for it. I wrote in my notes here because sometimes I just sort of go on tangents when I write these things. I wrote, on November 4th, 2024, I made the best eggplant parm I ever made, and I had some that night, and I put more of it in the freezer. I don't know how to create how good it was, but you can bet I was stuck at work the next day watching the news and looking forward to the eggplant parm more than anything. So Henry, I get it. Or maybe my coworkers should bully me a little more. I don't know. Freddie tells Henry that he should worry about the meeting that they're having on Monday, because the chewable vitamin that Henry was integral. Why did I put the word integral? Basically, Henry was one of the main people to market this chewable vitamin, and it's likely going to be discontinued, as their tangerine elephant-shaped chewable can't compare with vitamin gummies, unless Henry can think of a way to change the company's mind. And this company is, like, known for this, like, elephant chewable. Like, in the background for the episodes, like, there's posters of it everywhere. Like, this is like their main thing. This is like Henry's thing. So while Henry originally told Eliza that he wasn't going to spend the weekend working, now he's like, wait a second, like I need to save the product. When Eliza is over at Charmonique's to help her get ready for the reunion, Charmonique gets a call saying that the babysitter is canceled, which leads to Eliza saying that sure, she'll babysit for Charmonique's son, Kevin. Charmonique gives Eliza like the basic instructions, but also tells her to keep the door to her wig coliseum closed because there's $60,000 worth of wigs in there and the room is climate controlled, so do not open the door. Charmonique goes to the reunion where she quickly runs into Mitchell, the guy that she specifically went there for. He's wearing a scarf at first, so she like doesn't notice anything, and then she realizes that the scarf is covering that he is a priest. He starts shaming her for not being married to the father of her child, and she's like, no, we cannot be together. And she ends up leaving. But that's all happening over there. Back at Charmonique's house, Eliza's talking to Kevin, and she's like, I don't know how I can insta-compete with my friend slash rival now that I'm here. And Kevin is like, we just have to make it seem like really cool here. Kevin says that he has an idea, so they go and they take all of the wigs out and they make it look like there's a party by like having it look like there's a bunch of people. Henry comes over, and it looks like a party. Well, to social media, not to Henry. It's time for Kevin to go to bed, and at first everything seems fine, but once Eliza turns the lights out, Kevin becomes inconsolable. They like cannot figure out what they're supposed to be doing. They ask him what his mom does to help him go to bed, and so they keep doing everything on the list. There's one moment that reminded me of this clip from 30 Rock when Henry is like, there. It reminded me of the part where they're like, there, which I quote quite frequently.
Good night, Kevin.
And to you.
I'm going to turn the light off now.
I understand. You do what you gotta do.
Mm-hmm. What was that?
I'm not sure.
Oh my God, it sounded like Eddie Murphy. Is that him? Is he choking?
I want my mom!
He wants his mom. What are we gonna do? His mom's not here.
Eliza, we gotta remain calm and be of comfort to Kevin.
The lights went out and he's like a totally different person.
Bedtime can be really stressful for kids. Let's try and soothe him, shall we?
Yeah.
Kevin, is there something soothing that your mother does for you at bedtime?
She fills my humidifier, puts on my air purifier, turns off my closet light,
You got the closet.
turns on my bathroom light, finds my stuff wires,
Okay, I got it.
gives him to me, takes away one pillow, adds one extra blanket,
Get the blanket. I got the blanket.
sprays 3 pumps of lavender mist,
Lavender.
cracks the window, and closes the door.
You get the door.
All right.
Then she sings Ease on Down the Road from The Wiz.
I never saw The Wiz.
There. Don't make that noise.
There.
So they get on the phone with Charmonique, and she's like, did you feed him the chicken nuggets? And they're like, no, we didn't. Kevin needs the chicken nuggets. Like, that's what keeps him calm. He needs his bedtime nuggets. Eliza tells Charmonique that she's the best mom ever, and that's when Charmonique is like, yeah, I am. And I don't need this guy. Henry is still thinking about work. He's trying to think of ways that they can remarket this vitamin or make it into something new. And he's like, wait a second, what if I make like a vitamin-infused nuggets? But then Eliza's like, but what if the kid wants seconds? This kid is going to just be having like too many vitamins because they're just going to like keep eating all of these nuggets. And so then flash forward to the meeting where Henry's like, we actually shouldn't be making gummy vitamins. We shouldn't be making any of these like new stuff that kids really like want to eat. If we turn our vitamins into candy or anything like that, kids are just going to view it as candy. So for the health and safety of their consumers, they actually have to not compete with others, which Sam says is a good idea. And this also relates back to the storyline with Eliza competing on social media with her friend. Sometimes it's best to actually not compete, which is going to contrast against one of the episodes in the future. But anyway, throwback to earlier in the episode for you. It was only like 30 seconds ago, when Charmonique told Eliza to make sure that her climate-controlled wig coliseum door stayed closed because it was $60,000 worth of wigs, and Eliza took all of them out. I hoped that there would be consequences for this, and as the episode kept going, I was like, it seems like there's not going to be any consequences for this. I hope there's consequences, even though it's a sitcom, so I know it's just going to be like a one-line thing and then it's going to be done, but I hope Eliza faces consequences. There are, and Charmonique is making Eliza pay the $60,000. And it takes place in the last like minute of the episode, so there is truly never anything after this. We have multiple episodes in the future of Eliza not having enough money for things. And I wish that in one of them, Charmonique said, "You still owe me $60,000. I hope someone paid Charmonique back, because I will be honest, that made me really mad. I have a question for you. So if a show writes episodes in a certain order, produces episodes in a certain order, and then airs them in a different order, and you're giving like a detailed summary and saying the plot of everything, what order do you say 2 episodes that were aired in a different order than they were written and produced in? Because the next 2 episodes were aired out of chronological order, and there are some things that don't make sense. Just for fun, I'm going to talk about it in airing order. The episode starts with Terrence. Remember Terrence? Remember when I said that I wish we would get more of Terrence? We get a bit more of Terrence in these 2 episodes. So Terrence is congratulated by Henry for his promotion to the customer service role. If the episodes were in chronological order, we would have more information about that. The reason that Terrence is going by Henry's office is to give him an invitation to Sam Saperstein's Santa Barbara house. This is an invitation that Sam only gives to people who he's considering promoting to an executive position. So Henry is like very excited about this. He's like, I've been working for this my whole life. So Henry is really excited and tells Eliza, like, canceling all my weekend plans. I'm going to Sam's. And Eliza's like, oh, me too. And Henry's like, what? Like, no, that can't be true.
You don't exactly exude professionalism, so it's hard for me to imagine.
What? That Saperstein would take note of my unrivaled status as this company's top performing sales rep? Seriously? Because I'm not a dude in a suit, you can't imagine that he would reward my flawless track record by making me, say, the director of sales?
This is not about you not being a dude in a suit.
Furthermore, my job is harder than yours. I deal with doctors. You sell to the general public, who'll buy anything you put in front of them if they think it'll help their sticky, snot-covered kids.
I think it's more likely that you're my +1.
+1?
Yes, I'm sorry, but...
I'm nobody's +1. I'm VIP, bitches.
Bitches, it's just me. One bitch.
Was I +1 at Adam Levine's Halloween party? At Avril Lavigne's Christmas party? At Sherry Shepherd's purse party? At the grand reopening of the South Pasadena Victoria's Secret, which I didn't go to, but to which I was invited, and had I gone, I would have received a free thought.
But Sam eventually does tell Eliza that, like, no, she is Henry's +1, and then this puts her in a bad mood. And she's in an even worse bad mood when she realizes that there's no Wi-Fi. Eliza wants to leave, but Henry's like, no, we can't leave, we need to make a good impression. I want this promotion, and you should just be trying to make a good impression on your boss. But he really quickly starts to get annoyed with Eliza because they have all these plans, all these things to do, and Eliza keeps canceling or keeps wanting to do her own thing. The rest of the group really wants to follow Eliza's ideas. She really just wants to have fun, and Henry's like, no, I want to do this, I want to do that. But everyone really ends up liking Eliza more, which leads to a lot of frustration from Henry.
Shall we hit the stables? Huh? What can I say? I am hot to trot, good to gallop, cool to canter, down to dressage.
My, someone really has researched their horse words.
Eliza, should we wait for you to get changed?
No way. All I want to do is lay on a towel, drink out of a pineapple, and find out what the quack went wrong in Nick and Mariah's marriage and why the custody arrangement is for #them babies.
That sounds...
Like paradise. I'll strap on the Speedo and we'll meet at the pool.
Great.
What about the horses? What about the riding?
If I know anything about horses, Henry, now wait.
Henry keeps trying to impress Sam, but Eliza, like, is everybody's favorite. Eliza keeps telling Henry, like, relax, stop being the way that you are.
Why are you the way that you are?
And try to do at least one fun thing this weekend so you can at least show Sam that you are capable of doing that. He was not there during the conversation that this lake is like super important, like a conservation kind of thing, and that nobody has touched it in a very long time. So Henry decides that his spontaneous fun thing is going to be running into a lake naked. So him just jumping into it. Sam's wife is very upset about this.
Why is everyone crying?
Henry is convinced that his chance at being promoted is absolutely gone after this, and he's really mad at Eliza for pushing him to do something that he didn't really want to do. Eliza tries to tell him that he has a leech on his body, and he's like, yeah, that leech is you.
Henry, don't freak out, but you have a leech.
Yes, I do have a leech. A leech that's been sucking the life out of me all weekend, and her name is Eliza Dooley.
I'm a leech. You practically begged me to stay here, so...
Well, that was my mistake. And it was my mistake for listening to you. You ruined my weekend.
God, in all honesty, I think I preferred you when you were on your phone.
Fine.
But God, I have a leech on my neck.
I know. That's what I said. I was trying to help you. I've been trying to help.
So Henry apologizes to Sam for making the weekend a disaster. And Sam is like, no, like this weekend, let me see the other side of you. He was able to see somebody who's able to have fun, who isn't like super uptight. And also that he wanted to jump into that lake too. And that's actually why he invited Eliza, because he knew that she was going to be the one to be able to bring out that side in him. So this whole time, Henry was like, I want to ride the horses. Like, Sam has horses there and I want to ride the horses. So as Eliza is about to leave, like she's leaving early, Henry goes after her on horseback and he's like, this is something that I've wanted to do all weekend. I've been learning how to ride horses in preparation for this invitation. But also he doesn't want her to think that he values work more than their friendship.
I don't want you to think that I value my job more than I value a friendship. Because I swear, it's a tie.
A tie?
Yes, a tie.
There's no way that you came galloping out here on that majestic horse bathed in moonlight to tell me it's a tie.
I took the least majestic horse, I swear. In the stable, this thing looked like a donkey.
You worship me.
I do not
Admit
worship.
it.
No.
Just admit it. You worship me. It's
No.
okay.
I have grown accustomed to your face.
Thank you.
But he says that he values the two equally, which almost sounds like an insult. But then when you remember in the earlier episode that Henry's ex said that they broke up because he could not value a relationship like anywhere near how much he values work. So the fact that they're like sort of starting to be on an equal level to each other, that's an improvement. That's very much an improvement. He says that he has grown accustomed to her face, which is a reference to the song from My Fair Lady.
I've grown accustomed. I've grown accustomed to her looks, accustomed to her voice, accustomed to her face.
Eliza returns home to Freddie, and she's about to delete the picture that she posted because nobody has liked it until she gets a notification that Henry liked her picture. Which, he doesn't have Facebook, but he does have Instagram? That's interesting. I've created this headcanon in this moment that Eliza created the Instagram for Henry. I think that makes the most sense. I love that, actually. We also see Sam jump into the lake, and so this shows that, like, Eliza's bringing out the fun side in everybody. I mean, Sam definitely already has that fun side, but, like, Eliza is bringing this out in really everybody that she is around, and I really like that. See, this is why I was saying that I liked one of the endings of the pilot more than the other. It shows, like, Eliza really is this person who, like, brings this out in everybody that she's with, and oh, I just really liked that. I like the concept of that. I really like this episode because I love when shows that, like, 90% of the time take place in the same place. I love when they have, like, an episode where they go elsewhere, like a trip episode. I think that's just so fun because you take the same characters and then you put them in a different environment and then you see how they act with their different environment. So with this show, most of it takes place either in the office or at one of their houses or something like that. But now you put them in a place that is unfamiliar to both of the main characters and also for us, and you get to see how they react to all of those different things. And so yeah, so I really like this episode. I think it really showed the progression of Eliza and Henry's relationship because they didn't have any of the other characters that they're usually with. Like, Freddie wasn't there, their coworkers weren't there, it was really just the two of them. And like, yes, Sam was there and like all that, but like, it was really just the two of them. It also showed that neither of them were ready to acknowledge their feelings towards each other, which I thought was really interesting. With Henry saying that he still values his work at such a high level, and with Eliza still going home to Freddie. One question that I did have here is, so Henry and Sam work together on marketing that original vitamin. At what point did Sam move up to the executive position to the point that Henry was trying to impress him? Like, or at least, if the two of them worked together, were they once at the same level and Sam was promoted in the company? And so now, how long have Henry and Sam known each other? How long have they worked with this company? When they did work on the vitamin together, were they like equal partners? Was Sam still like a level above Henry? Questions that I have. Henry did say that he had been learning to ride horseback for years in preparation for when Sam invited him to this place. So how long was this? All of these characters give the vibe of them working at this company for a while. Like, even Eliza, we kind of get the feeling that she's been at KinderCare for a couple years. If she's the top sales representative, then I feel like she's been there for like over 1 year, maybe 2 years minimum, maybe 3 years minimum. She's not the most responsible person in general. She does always show up to work. Like, there's never been a conversation here about her missing work or anything like that. So I think I would just want to know, how long has everybody been here? I also really liked seeing Sam and Terrence together. I think their dynamic is really interesting. Terrence was listed as recurring, and I wish we got to see more of him. I actually don't think that we really see Terrence after this. I know we don't see Terrence in the last couple episodes. Terrence was so much fun. I completely forgot to mention that the actor who plays Terrence is also one of the main actors on the show Freaks and Geeks, which is also a one-season TV show and is on my list of shows I want to talk about. It is very high up there on the list. I have told many people that I want to do a video on Freaks and Geeks. The whole point of this is that I already really liked the actor who played Terrence, and so big fan. Anyway, so episode 5 is called Never Block Cookies. Eliza decides that she's going to set Henry up with somebody, especially after he comments how much energy Eliza is putting into her relationship with Freddie. Charmonique points out that there was one time that one of the baristas at the coffee shop in the lobby was flirting with Henry, and so they start there. They figure that's a great place to start. But he doesn't realize that she's flirting.
Here you go, Henry.
Oh my god, she gave him a cookie. She gave him a cookie he didn't even order.
I didn't order this cookie.
I know. I just thought maybe you'd like to try it.
It has nuts.
You can eat around the nuts.
No thanks, too much work. I don't want it.
He gave back the cookie. Now, who gives back a cookie unless it's oatmeal raisin?
Look, Henry, the cookie was my way of saying that.
You're gonna screw up your inventory. Where's Romy?
Wow. He blocked himself.
It's like he doesn't even realize she's hitting on him. He has no game. And if we don't help him, he's probably gonna die alone. I really hope I didn't just accidentally predict that.
And so Eliza and Charmonique sign Henry up for a bunch of dating sites. And this is where we get the picture from the official Eliza Dooley Twitter account. That's where we get this picture from. Did I talk about the Twitter? I actually don't think I talked about the Twitter account. Okay, I was going to talk about this later, but we're talking about it now. So as I mentioned earlier, this show was really into using Twitter for marketing. When the show was airing on ABC, they really used this Twitter account. They would tweet things during the show, they would tweet things about the show, they would have pictures from different scenes. They would really use Twitter to interact with the fandom. But an important thing to note is that it was run by ABC. The, I forget what the handle for the Twitter account was Selfie ABC. But after the final ABC episode aired, there was nothing, which I think is really interesting. And I don't know enough about marketing or anything like that, and I don't think that I will ever know. I don't want to say that I don't think I'll ever be in a position where I will know this information, because I am so frequently working jobs that I'm like, how did I fall into this? But anyway, so as of right now in my life, I do not know the ins and outs of marketing with different services and how those are done. I wonder if there was some sort of conversation on the marketing team for Hulu saying we don't use social media to market the show in the same way that you do. The reason that I suspect this is because the last tweet on that account happened around the same time as the final ABC episode. I don't have the exact date for that, but it's around the last ABC episode. And then there's nothing for months. There's no tweets, no replies, nothing like that, which is something that they did a lot when it was airing on ABC. They really interacted with fans. The next thing on that Twitter account wasn't until May 2015, which, remember when I said earlier, Selfie was taken off of Hulu in May 2015. There was that break of it being on Hulu from May 2015 into 2016. So then that's when they started to use the Twitter account again. So that's why I really think that it was something from the Hulu end saying, don't use this Twitter account. Maybe because it was owned by ABC, something along those lines. I don't know. Basically, there was nothing on that account. And now that the show was over, they really didn't use that account much anymore. They did use it to promote other projects that had some of the main actors in it or had the creators of the show in it. The most recent post on that account is from August 2023, advertising a new episode of Praise PD, which John Cho was on. And through my research, I realized that that was also a one-season TV show, so let me know if you want me to talk about that. But before that, let me get back to episode 5, which technically aired after episode 6. Okay, where was I? How did I even go into that tangent? So they signed Henry up for a bunch of dating sites, and that's how we get the picture that was posted on the Twitter account. The Twitter account. Okay. Terrence, who, in my notes, I said, remember Terrence from the wedding episode in episode 2? Do you remember Terrence from a couple minutes ago? Terrence finds out that there is a customer service position that Sam is interviewing for, and Sam is like, Terrence, I can't give you special treatment just because you're my son-in-law. Eliza and Charmonique sneak into Henry's office, and Sam sees them, and he's like, what are you doing? So they tell him, and Sam is in on it too. He's like, yep, let's find somebody for Henry. Eliza and Charmonique are like, okay, Sam, like, we need you to find information. Like, Henry's not going to say some stuff to us, so we need you to find out if he's ever had an STD. So Sam waits in the bathroom for Henry so he can ask him, and it's very funny. Eliza asks Henry to go out with her as sort of a, oh, like, you should go out with me tonight. And Larry is like, Eliza must like you if she's asking you to go out with her. And Henry's like, no, that's not true. She does go over to his house and flirts with him just to see like how he would react. And, but she leaves before it goes any further.
What are we doing here?
I spent tons of time letting you boss me around, and now it's your turn. So lesson number 1, while I'm casually talking to you, find some small excuse to touch me. Great job. Great job. That was excellent progress. Hats off to you, sir. So, yeah, well, there's yours. I'm really sorry. I will be seeing you tomorrow.
Sam and Terrence have lunch together, and Terrence is like super positive. Even when Sam is kind of mean to him, he's still positive. And Sam is like, you would be perfect for customer service. He has the disposition that like even angry customers would not affect him, and I thought that was very funny.
I would be remiss, sir, if I didn't articulate my frustration with your unwarranted rejection of me. In fact, it ignites a burning rage in my soul.
And this is you with a burning rage in your soul?
Absolutely, sir. This is the angriest I've ever been.
That's fascinating. What if I said you weren't good enough for my daughter and you never will be?
I would firmly disagree and ask if there's anything else I can help you with.
Terrence. Don't you see, you're not an alternate office floater. The way verbal abuse passes right through your pale, clammy skin, you're customer service.
I am?
How would you like a promotion?
I'd love one! Thank you for choosing Terrence.
Stop shaking my hand.
Oh, sorry.
While I was editing this, I realized another thing that switching episode order changes. In episode 5, Sam really does not like Terrence, and Yasmin is like, you have to treat our son-in-law like he's part of the family. And that's when Sam offers Terrence the job, and they start to have a better relationship. In episode 6, that's when they're at the Santa Barbara house, and they seem close. By switching the order of those episodes, it seems like they're really close, and then all of a sudden Sam just like really doesn't like Terrence and is really rude to him. It's one of those things where like I know that many aspects of sitcoms are in isolation within the episode that they are part of, but character development and people liking each other or disliking each other, that's something that can be throughout the season, and I think that that is something that it's just weird seeing it go the other way and so abruptly. That was something I noticed as I was editing this. So Terrence gets the customer service position. Henry and Eliza start to talk about what happened the night before, but meanwhile Charmonique walks by with a cardboard cutout of Henry, so it makes them explain what's happening. They filled the bar with the people that they think are hot. All of the people that they invite either look like Eliza or Charmonique. Now that they know that Henry has game, they brought the social life to him, but Henry is really upset about this, and so Eliza follows him to apologize. They see him talking to somebody and they seem super similar, so they let him leave and Eliza doesn't follow him any further. Short summary for that episode, but I liked it. It's not my favorite, not my least favorite. It's good. Episode 7 is called Here's This Guy, and remember this is the last episode that aired on ABC before it was canceled. It was canceled a couple days before this aired. But it was the last one to air on ABC. We start the episode with another voiceover, this one with Eliza telling us how good of friends she and Henry are, and also how he's like really her only real-life friend. She says that nothing can come between them, but this is when she finds out that he's dating Julia.
Who's in there?
I'm not at liberty to...
Is it Saperstein?
No.
Joan?
No.
Is it Larry? Linda?
No. No.
Is it Obama?
No.
Is it Toby Maguire?
No.
Is it Toby Maguire, you little bitch?
No.
Oh.
Oh.
Julia, this is my contemporary, Eliza. Eliza, I present for your consideration Julia, a gentlewoman I'm courting.
What?
Henry, thank you for the enjoyable conversation and the lime-infused water.
No, thank you for making the schlep and providing the curry chicken salad.
Henry, are you low-key dating that tiny woman?
Well, increasingly things are moving in that direction, so I would have to say yes. Officially, yes, I am. Thank you, Charlie.
Julia was the person that Henry left with at the end of the previous episode. Well, previous, because we just saw it. It just occurred to me what the context of this would be if it went seeing Julia, like, but if it went from Henry meeting Julia, then the episode where the two of them are at the Santa Barbara house, and now he's dating Julia, what is the context of all the things that happened at the Santa Barbara house? I need to think about that for a second. Anyway, so Eliza is mad at Henry for not telling her about Julia, when she tells him everything about Freddie, and Henry's like, yeah, maybe don't tell me everything about Freddie. And also, like, wasn't Eliza trying to set Henry up, like, literally the last episode? And Eliza's like, yes. But she's also not happy about this. Larry tells Henry that all women are jealous, and once Julia finds out how close Henry is with Eliza, she's not going to be happy. Meanwhile, Eliza tells Charmonique that things aren't going to change between her and Henry. They're still going to be really good friends. But Bryn tells her that she and one of her friends recently had a falling out because nobody liked her friend's boyfriend. So yes, things will definitely change.
You remember Thistle from my book club? She and I were hardcore BFFs. We camped peaches together. Nostalgia read Judy Blume books together. We were even on the same menstrual cycle. But then she started dating Balthazar and singing backup in his Ashkenazi klezmer band, and just like that, our friendship was over.
Well, luckily, Henry doesn't listen to klezmer.
Oh, no, it wasn't the klezmer, it was Balthazar. He felt threatened by our friendship. And Thistle knew I didn't like him, which drove a wedge between us. If I had just been more supportive of him, maybe I'd still be friends with her.
After both of these conversations, Eliza goes to Henry and is like, nothing's going to change between us. And Henry's like, actually, maybe some things should change. Like, maybe they should hang out less, maybe they should spend less time with each other. And Henry says it's because Eliza is doing so well that maybe she doesn't need to spend as much time with him anymore. And Eliza's like, what do you mean? Like, Eliza's like, I still have so much to learn from you. I don't want to spend less time with you. But Henry's like, no, like, maybe it's for the best. Sam comes in and asks Eliza, as the top earning sales rep, to be the introductory speaker at the upcoming Pharmaceuticon.
How would you like to introduce our keynote speaker at the pharmaceutical conference next week?
Me?
We could use a little star power.
Oh.
And I'm not afraid to tell you, Jones sucked the life out of Pharmaceuticon last year. But this year, I really want to grab people's attention. So what do you say? Will you get up there and make KinderCare Pharmaceuticals proud?
I'd be honored, sir. And I'm sure with Henry by my side, I can't lose.
And Eliza's like, see, Henry, like, I need you to help me know what to do here. And Henry's like, introducing a guest speaker isn't that hard. Like, you just have to be like, hey, here's this guy, and maybe say a little bit more, ideally, but, like, that's it. Charmonique tells Eliza that they need to take Julia down, but also they can't seem to find anything wrong with her.
Look at this profile pic.
That is tasteful and demure.
And these reviews?
After years of being misdiagnosed, Dr. Julia honed in on the true cause of my son's neurogenic bladder disorder. Thanks to Dr. Julia, Truman is now peeing freely. Oh, way to go, Truman.
Julia is a pediatric urologist.
Okay. But they're not all Trumans. I mean, look right here. Wait, time is a little longer than expected.
But only because Dr. Julia was performing emergency urethral reconstructive surgery. Dr. J is a hero.
Okay, but I got nothing.
Later that day, Julia is telling Henry that she had a really bad day at work, so somebody posted a bunch of negative reviews on her practice online, and she wonders who it could possibly be, but Henry looks at them and he's like, this is Eliza's work. You can just tell by the way it's all been phrased that it's Eliza.
Okay, you're acting weird.
I'm being weird? I'm not the one who loves urine.
What'd you say?
Baby urine. Isn't that your new lady's fave?
Her fave? Julie's a pediatric urologist.
Like I said.
Urology is not the study of urine. It is the study of the urinary tract system, which includes the kidneys, the adrenal glands, the bladder, as well as the male reproductive organs.
Oh, hello, paging Dr. Peen.
She's a pediatric urologist.
Oh, hello, paging Dr. Baby Peen. So sorry.
Okay, you are being incredibly juvenile.
3 hours later.
Some idiot left a bunch of negative feedback about me online.
What?
They kept insisting that I got my PhD in urinology. Have you ever heard of something so incredibly ignorant?
That night, Henry and Eliza originally made plans, but now after Henry's realizing, like, what Eliza did, he's like, I'm actually very mad at her right now. So he shows up late, making Eliza at first be like, okay, yeah, you're finally here, but Henry's like, no, Like, you need to stop.
I'm here for one reason and one reason only.
To help me learn to say, here's this guy? Huh?
How could you have left those negative reviews of Julia online? That is a career you're messing with. And why? Because you can't stand anyone but you soaking up my attention. You are not the sun, Eliza. The world does not revolve around you.
You're right. I think I'm the sun. And I hear from your tone that I'm not. Point bees, until we figure out who the sun is, maybe we need to go back to meeting like 1 to 3 times per week.
You do need help, but you're not gonna get it from me. I think we're done here.
Eliza runs into Bryn in the elevator, where Bryn and one of her other friends baked a cake for the other friend's boyfriend to try to like smooth things over. This gives Eliza the idea to bake Julia a cake to show that she respects Julia's profession. Reminder that Julia is a pediatric urologist.
And that's when I realized, since there is nothing in the world besides alcoholism that a moist cake can't cure, I thought I'd bake one for Julia to show that I do respect her profession and that I now know where the prostate is.
So Eliza bakes a cake for Julia, and while in their waiting room, there's a kid that tells Eliza about her favorite book, The Courageous Kitty, and it's basically about a cat that believes in itself, which inspires Eliza to prepare for Pharmaceuticon on her own, and she leaving the cake, and I really liked this scene. It was very funny. Julia brings the cake home and is like, look at what one of my patients made me. Henry sees on the tag that it says from Eliza, and he's like, okay, she's like trying to make things better. He tells Julia about Eliza and is like, Eliza, she's more than just a coworker. She's one of my friends, and she's going to be at an event tonight that is like really important, and I really should be there for her. And Julia is like, okay, like, I'm not going to stop you from being friends with Eliza or from women in general, kind of like how you're not going to stop me from being friends with my male coworkers or men in general. Henry is like, I didn't want it to be like weird if I was friends with Eliza and dating you, and Julia is like, should it be weird? Should I be concerned about something? And Henry's like, no. I think that he says it more certain than I just did. I'm like, no. Julia says that she's confident in herself and in their relationship, and so she's not going to stop Henry, so go to the event. Henry leaves for Pharmaceuticon and is there just in time to see Eliza give the opening speech. Eliza didn't prepare anything for this, so truly all she says is,
as I stepped onto the stage, it hit me. I was on my own. I couldn't believe that my only friend was missing the most important moment in the guy I was introducing's life.
There she is. Here she is. Oh.
Thank you. And now, this guy.
Thank you.
Shine bright like a diamond.
Thank you so much.
but people love it. That's really all you need. She is really upset about Henry missing this because, again, like, this is really important to her, and they were friends. At least she felt like they were friends. She didn't realize that Henry was actually there. He was just waiting in the back, and so she is very happy to know that Henry is still there and was there to support her. She is still upset with Henry for real life unfriending her. The two make up, and Eliza goes to Julia's office to apologize to her as well. So technically there wasn't like a huge break in time between the shows ending on ABC and them moving to Hulu and online in general. I did want to take a brief intermission to talk about the two source materials that Selfie was based on. So Selfie, as I mentioned, is based off of My Fair Lady, which is also based off of Pygmalion. Pygmalion is a play by George Bernard Shaw, who I was first introduced by reading Arms and the Man as a summer reading assignment going into 10th grade, and I don't remember that book at all because I did not like it, and I honestly don't remember anything about it. But again, as I mentioned earlier, I did see some friends in a production of Pygmalion at their high school, so I do actually, like, remember that. I feel like it was, like, seating in the round. I remember, like, sitting on stage. Pygmalion is also based off of something else. So remember in the title for Selfie, when it's, like, the evolution of selfies? That's kind of what it feels like here, where it's something is based off of something, which is based off of something. The play Pygmalion is based off of the Greek myth of Pygmalion, which can be found in Ovid's Metamorphoses. In the myth, Pygmalion is a sculptor who fell in love with one of the sculptures that he carved. You can see how that changes over time. In Selfie, Henry is the big marketing person and is like, I'm going to create something of Eliza. Going back, that is a sculptor falling in love with a sculpture. In the play Pygmalion, Henry Higgins is a linguistics professor, and he meets Eliza Doolittle, who sells flowers on the streets of London. He decides that with his training, he can turn Eliza into a woman of society by teaching her phonetics and linguistics, getting rid of the way that she talks and her accent and stuff like that, and, yep. Realized as I was watching this, let me be clear, Henry is not a good person in Pygmalion, and everybody calls him out on it, particularly his mom. His mom is like, you are not a good person to Eliza. Henry sees this as a challenge for him to win and for him to brag to his rivals. He really doesn't see Eliza as like a person. And at the end, she ends up leaving him. And I do really like that. Yeah, no, I'm not a huge fan of Henry in Pygmalion. We also in this play are introduced to Freddie, who is the love interest to Eliza. Pygmalion has had a lot of international success with both stage and screen adaptations, the most popular one being the 1999 film She's All That. Just kidding, it's My Fair Lady. My Fair Lady premiered on Broadway in 1956, winning the Tony Award for Best Musical that season. It has a lot of songs that are famous now in the musical theater canon, such as I Could Have Danced All Night, Wouldn't It Be Loverly, and I've Grown Accustomed to Her Face, which was referenced specifically in the show Selfie. One of the major differences between Pygmalion and My Fair Lady is that in Pygmalion, Eliza leaves Henry, but in My Fair Lady, she returns to his house.
I knew that I could do it. I knew it. I knew it. I said I'd make a woman, and succeed I did. Eliza, you're magnificent. 5 minutes ago, you were a millstone round my neck, and now you're a tower of strength, a consort battleship. I like you this way.
Goodbye, Professor Higgins. You shall not be seeing me again.
Mother! Mother!
What is it, Henry? What's happened?
She's gone.
Well, of course, dear. What did you expect?
Oh, we are proud. He ain't above giving lessons, not him. I heard him say so. Well, I ain't come here to ask for any compliment, and if my money's not good enough, I can go elsewhere.
Good enough for what?
Good enough for you. Now you know, don't you? I'm come to have lessons, I am, and to pay for 'em too, make no mistake.
What is it you want, my girl?
I want to be a lady in a flower shop, instead of selling at the corner of Tottenham Court Road. But they won't take me unless I can talk more genteel. He said he could teach me. Well, here I am, ready to pay, not asking any favour, and he treats me as if I was dirt. I know what lessons cost as well as you do, and I'm ready to pay. I won't give more than a shilling. Take it or leave it.
It's almost irresistible. She's so deliciously low, so horribly dirty. I'll take it. I'll make a duchess of this draggle-tailed gutter snipe.
I washed my face and hands before I come, I did.
Ah, we're not dirty.
Eliza?
Hands before I come, I do.
Where the devil are my slippers?
My Fair Lady has also been incredibly successful. It recently had a Broadway revival a couple of years ago. Was it like 2018 or something like that? Because it was definitely when I lived in New York. I just didn't see it. Because I gotta be so honest, this is just not my genre of musical theater. I'm sorry. But it is important to know the history, so then you know what people are talking about today. The reason that I'm telling you this is because the show Selfie, it's clear that Eliza and Henry, like, they're making them the love interest. And, like, yes, Freddie is there too. It would not be surprising to anybody if I say that the show Selfie is very clearly making Eliza and Henry the endgame relationship. But I do think that it's interesting to point out that Pygmalion and My Fair Lady do have different endings, so theoretically, it could go either way. I mean, or it could do its complete own thing. I mean, none of this was in either of those shows.
In my 7th grade yearbook, I was literally voted most bud.
Anyway, so I did just want to talk briefly about the source material. Just in case you didn't know anything about that, I thought it would just be a little interesting. And since this was the point where it separated from being on air to being online, I thought this would be a fun little part to talk about that. Anyway, let's continue to episode 8. Am I going to finish all of the filming and be able to start editing all in one day? That has never happened before, but I think it's possible. Episode 8 is called Traumatic Party Stress Disorder. Charmonique goes to Henry's office because per company policy, she has to sing happy birthday to him. And Henry is like, please don't let people know that it's my birthday. Eliza's there and she's like, wait, when's your birthday? And he's like, it's Saturday. And Eliza's like, then that's the best day to have a birthday because then you can have a party. Henry is like, I don't want anybody to know it's my birthday. I don't want any sort of like birthday attention. So he tries to hide from all of his coworkers who are giving him presents. He says that coworkers giving any sort of birthday gift, it's always either really impersonal or really meaningless. But Eliza's like, I want to get you a present. So he says, if you can find something meaningful and personal, then yes, I will accept your birthday present. Otherwise, he does not accept it. So she takes on this challenge. So this was the moment that I actively realized that since I didn't do predictions for this, I just felt like so many of the episodes were very self-contained. So I was like, what sort of overall predictions really were there, aside from is Eliza going to be with Henry or is Eliza going to be with Freddie? And even then, I kind of figured it was going to be Henry. But this is one of the moments that I was like, oh, writing down a prediction would have actually been kind of fun with this, even though it's a resolved within the episode prediction. Anyway, so my prediction here was that Eliza was going to throw Henry a party, and she was thinking that that was going to be the present, and that then she was going to realize just because Eliza thinks that a party is the best gift doesn't mean that it actually is, and it would be some sort of understanding, that sort of thing. That's what I thought the episode storyline was going to be. I thought that that was the right thing for the show. It matched the characters, it seemed like the right tone for the show. Immediately after I wrote that down, Eliza tells Charmonique that the gift is going to be a party, and Charmonique is like, he's not going to like that, find something else. So Eliza gives Henry 2 tickets to a Blues Traveler concert, which is a band that he really liked in the 90s. He says that she accomplished the task, which kind of confuses her, because that's his response to getting the tickets. And she mentions this to Freddie while they're in bed later that night, and Freddie's like, why are you talking about Henry right now?
Thank you, Eliza. Well done. You accomplished the task.
You accomplished the task.
Well, thank you, my dear. You weren't too shabby yourself.
No, that's what Henry said when I gave him his birthday present.
Should I be worried that you're laying naked in bed with me thinking about Henry?
I'll be so honest, I know that I just mentioned that I wanted Freddie to be more of a main character. The fact that he's not a main character means that I completely forgot that Eliza and Freddie were dating. This is sort of my fault. I did take a little bit of a break in between the last few episodes and this one. Things got really busy, so I just had not watched a couple episodes, but I think I still knew in my mind that there was a relationship between the two of them. I just saw this happen and I was like, wait, when did that happen? Anyway, this made me realize that I wondered if a lot of the scenes with Freddie and with Bryn, maybe with Sam as well, I wondered if there were more scenes with them and then they were cut at a certain point. And maybe if that's what brought Freddie from main to recurring. I don't know. Anyway, but speaking of Bryn, in this whole summary, I'm not mentioning Bryn once. I told you that I don't think these characters are in every episode. Henry brings Julia to the concert, and it's clear that she is not having a good time. But Henry doesn't really notice because he's having a really good time. He's making friends with other people there, and eventually Julia leaves, and he doesn't even notice.
I think I would like some earplugs.
Okay, do you want me to go get you some? Yeah, humor me and tell me lies. Well, I'll lie too and say I don't mind. And as we seek, so shall we find.
Meanwhile, Eliza is still set on throwing a party, but she's like, what kind of party would Henry really like? He really likes work, so let's create a surprise party that is work-based. Henry arrives home, realizing that he didn't even notice that Julia left, so he's not in a good mood. He comes home, and all of his co-workers are in his house.
Sir, can I get you to sign this check for office supplies? Since we're working here, I thought I'd reorder toner.
Thank you, Joan.
And I'll just remind you, you have a surprise with Henry coming up in 5 minutes.
Joan, this fake office would crumble without you.
Thank you, sir.
Happy birthday!
What's going on here?
It's your birthday. Happy office party, Henry. Is this great or what? Eliza got work bagels.
He just wants to be left alone. Sam eventually tells everybody to leave and just give Henry some space. Henry's mad at Eliza for having everybody come over when he didn't want that, but Eliza's like, I just wanted you to have people around you on your birthday because when I was a kid, nobody ever wanted to spend my birthday with me, and I just didn't want you to be alone like I was.
It must be really hard to have everyone want to celebrate your birthday. But as someone who knows what it's like to spend their birthday alone, minus one super bitchy clown, I can tell you firsthand that it sucks.
Julia goes over to Henry's and she's like, being at that concert pushed me out of my comfort zone, so I just like wasn't super comfortable, that's why I left. And Henry's like, I was also pushed out of my comfort zone, so that makes two of us. Later, Henry apologizes to Eliza and says, I'm sorry I was mean, I really appreciate the effort, and I really appreciate what you did for me. Eliza says that she knows that he had fun at the concert because somebody posted a video of it online, and she saw it, and that's how she knew that he had fun. And Henry's like, how do I delete somebody else's video, which was funny. That was a super quick summary. I liked it. Yeah, that was a fun episode. Episode 9 is called Follow Through. So one of KinderCare's products that Henry is currently trying to market is a low-selling diaper cream, and Eliza suggests remarketing it as an eye cream because celebrities are using diaper cream as eye cream.
I read on some beauty blog, that's what J-Albs does. Or J-Lo. One of the J's. Look.
I must admit, your under eye region does look luminous.
Mm-hmm. I call it butt eyes.
No, you don't. That is a terrible name.
I don't know if this is a thing. I believe it. Henry says that that's a great idea and that Eliza should tell Sam. And Eliza's like, no, that's fine. Like, you can go tell Sam. And Henry's like, it's your idea. Like, you should take the credit for the good idea that you had. Okay, so remember earlier when I was like, there's some episodes where Bryn's friends just show up and I'm like, what are you doing here? This is one of them. Bryn started a sandwich making business, and so her friends are currently selling the sandwiches. I feel like, okay, no, I watched the first episodes back in March, and I finished it a couple days ago. For all of you, it's been like, what, like an hour tops? Not even an hour. It's been like probably an hour, but it hasn't been that long. I haven't mentioned Bryn's friends a lot. I mentioned them during the summary, during the make under in the first or second episode. There may have been a book club scene that happened. Oh, there was the cake, but that wasn't even everyone. That was just Bryn and one of her friends, and then another one was mentioned. So anyway, having a major plot involve Bryn's friends, I don't know, it was one of those, like, where do you keep coming from? It felt like the show was trying to convince me that they were recurring characters, and I'm like, you're special guests. I'm like, you're here so often but not enough. Like, you're trying to convince me that you're here all the time. Who are you?
Wait a minute! Who are you?
This is the first time that one of them really has like their own separate storyline. I don't know, the thing with Bryn's whole friend group I thought was very interesting. Anyway, so Bryn's friends are selling the sandwiches. Bryn is not there. It's just her friends, which also made me be like, where's Bryn? Henry goes downstairs to get a sandwich, and Ren, who's one of Bryn's friends, tells Henry that he should come to their book club.
Dig the shoes.
Pardon?
I said dig the shoes.
Thank you. Nice leather-bound early edition copy of Little Women. Yeah, I wrote an analysis of that novel for my women's studies thesis.
I see. And in your thesis, what exactly did you these?
I argued that a Joe and Laurie marriage would have made a superior ending due to their obvious
Sexual tension? I couldn't agree more.
Okay, speaking of sexual tension, you guys. Or is this just regular tension?
He doesn't really say yes or no, but at this point, Ren has a huge crush on Henry. Henry's back with Eliza, and he brings her to Sam since Eliza isn't going to go by herself, and Sam thinks that this is a great idea. The one problem that they have is that they can't market a product for something that's not its intended use. So Eliza's like, instead of purposefully marketing it like that, I can just like tweet about it, and because I have all these followers, and like I can be the marketing. And Sam is like, that's a great idea. In my mind, I was like, that is some undisclosed advertising if I have ever heard it. Like, I'm just picturing Eliza with like a little like bloom thing in the corner while she's talking about using the KinderCare diaper cream as eye cream. Freddie tells Eliza that his parents are in town and that he wants her to meet them. And Eliza's like, what? She's distracted about how to post this diaper cream, eye cream thing. She's like very trying to figure out the right way to post it. When she talks to Charmonique about it the next day, Charmonique is like, though this means that like your relationship is maturing, like this is good. And Eliza's like, what? Ren, you know, Brent's friend from earlier, goes up to Henry's office and flirts with him, but he rejects her. Later, Sam and Henry have lunch together, and Sam has talked about how much he loves the sandwich. It's been the best thing. He eats it, and it's awful. So he calls downstairs and is like, why is the sandwich different? And apparently, Henry broke Ren's heart so much that all the sandwiches are bad now. And so Sam is like, Henry, you need to fix this so we can have good sandwiches again. I'm just going to skip to the end of this plot line rather than, I feel like most of my summaries, I kind of do it in like chronological order of the episode, but this one, like, it's literally just like one final scene. And so Henry goes to Bryn's book club and apologizes for hurting Ren's feelings, but also he's like, I'm not romantically interested in you.
I'm sure you don't still want me to join your book club, Ren, but I reread my thesis, and it is hogwash. Joe and Lori are meant to be friends, and Lori is seeing someone else.
See, Ren? Lori doesn't hate Joe. Lori's just in a relationship.
Make no mistake, Lori is not physically attracted to Joe. But Lori certainly did not need to just say that.
Agreed.
Lori still has some work left to do. I'm sorry, Ren. And not just in a self-serving, I want your sandwich kind of way. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I really didn't.
Apology accepted.
That is how that is resolved. Plotline over. Henry is a little surprised about how serious the relationship is getting between Eliza and Freddie, to the point that she's meeting his parents. Like, that's serious. And honestly, I was kind of surprised too, because again, we've only had like 15 minutes of screen time between the two of them, so I'm like, we are going very fast here, aren't we? But anyway, he says that Eliza should go. When Eliza goes to the restaurant, she realizes how many people are on their phones, like from the parking lot to being in the restaurant. Everybody is just on their phones, and she has this moment of like, wait a second, are we as a society addicted to our phones and we're not living in the moment? Which I thought was like really funny. She's just walking around and she's like, wait, this might be a societal issue. She realizes that she has been so obsessed with her phone and obsessed with social media and all of that, that she hasn't noticed all of the little things about Freddie that she doesn't like, and she like just notices everything that she doesn't like about him while sitting at the table with his parents.
I don't know why I'm having so much trouble committing to something that sounds so great. Do some people not like the salmon?
Oh no, everyone loves the salmon.
And in theory, I should too. It's just that I've had a lot of salmon recently, and I kind of feel like I've gotten all I can get out of salmon, and I may have just have lost my taste for salmon entirely.
I mean, look, there are other fish in the sea. I mean, if salmon doesn't feel right, then you probably shouldn't force it.
It was one of the best pieces of advice a waiter had ever given me.
Eliza? You okay?
And so, in that moment, she breaks up with him. Eliza is going back home, and Henry is leaving Eliza's building because he just went to the book club, and Henry asks if the dinner went well. Eliza said that everything went as it's supposed to. Okay. Eliza then undresses in front of Henry and invites him over, to which he says no.
I have to go feed my cat.
You don't have a cat.
I have to go purchase a cat and then feed it generously.
She decides that the two of them are going to get together. She's like, it's not me and Freddie, it's me and Henry. Episode 10 is called Imperfect Harmony. I tried every trick I know to get these clips past copyright and nothing worked. So unfortunately, this episode has no clips, and I'm really mad about that because it is my favorite episode. The lines in this one were so funny. But that means that you're just gonna have to go watch it yourself. Eliza tells Charmonique about her feelings for Henry, and she's confused about why Charmonique isn't like, yay, let's go, let's start the relationship, let's do that. Because she thought that Charmonique was always rooting for her and Henry to get together. But Charmonique is like, he's dating somebody. Like, he's dating Julia. And also, She doesn't know how Henry feels about her. I love Charmonique so much. Henry goes to HR, and I love this part. So he says that even though this didn't happen in the workplace, he wanted it to be on file that he did not initiate Eliza undressing in front of him. He did not ask for that to happen. So Raj, who's one of the coworkers who is HR, asks if he wants to make a complaint. No? A high five then? Raj then shows Henry the HR files in regards to Eliza and says that if he wants to submit a relationship file thing, then he can give Henry the paperwork, and then he can just shred the one that says Freddie. This part also made me laugh. I really like this episode. So KinderCare is having a karaoke party, and Eliza's trying to get Henry's attention so they can sing a duet together. Sam says that the karaoke performance is mandatory. Everybody has to sing something, which I am once again bringing up the fact that Sam is such a fun boss to watch as an audience. Mandatory workplace karaoke is a nightmare for me. I watched this one pretty shortly after I went to workplace karaoke. And so my note here was, I just want to say here, as someone who doesn't like to sing in front of people, mandatory workplace karaoke is a genuine fear of mine. I'm like Gabriella at the start of High School Musical, but I'm not secretly a good singer. You know when she's like, I can't sing, I'm too shy. I'm not secretly played by Vanessa Hudgens. I'm just me. Anyway, I love seeing all my friends have fun, but you simply will not see me with a microphone in my hand. Anyway, we're gonna continue. After the staff meeting, Eliza goes after Henry, but she runs into Freddie in the hallway, and he's like, I have been miserable ever since we broke up, and Eliza's like, she says that she doesn't want to go back to him. Eliza asks Henry why he's been avoiding her, and Henry's like, I haven't been avoiding you, and Eliza's like, yes you have, ever since I undressed in front of you and confessed my love to you, you haven't been talking to me. And Henry's like, well, you did the first, you didn't do the second, and Eliza's like, the second one's just like kind of implied. I didn't really think I would have to do both. And Henry's like, I need some time to think about all of this. He needs some time to think about how he feels and how he wants to move forward with their friendship. So Charmonique tells Eliza, I'm so sorry. Charmonique tells Eliza that they need to burn down Henry's house. Bryn overhears this and is like, Charmonique, you give horrible advice. And so off camera, the two of them fight. That's like a recurring bit over the course of this episode, Bryn and Charmonique fighting off camera, and the injuries just get like worse and worse as the episode goes on. So Henry consults Raj for more advice about whether he should stay in his current relationship with Julia or if he should go after Eliza. And it's all under like euphemisms for karaoke songs, and it was so funny. I do think that this might be my favorite episode. At the staff party, Freddie asks Henry if he knows why Eliza broke up with him, because he knows that Henry and Eliza are really close, so like maybe she said something. Henry says that maybe she's just like scared of being in a relationship, maybe she's just afraid of being vulnerable, and that the relationship is getting really serious, so that's what she may have been afraid of. But then Henry tells Eliza that, Eliza, you don't really have feelings for me. You're just scared of being in a relationship with Freddie. You're afraid of things getting too serious. You're afraid of being vulnerable, and that's why you self-sabotaged what you already had. Eliza's like, you're the one who's afraid of being vulnerable. Eliza says that she can tell that Henry isn't really in love with Julia, and Julia has overheard this entire thing. Eliza thinks that Henry is going after her, but really he's just telling her that he's going home with Julia. She sings a sad, drunk version of Chandelier, which, per my notes, is really just Chandelier. She gets really drunk and goes home with Freddie. But it turns out Henry didn't go home with Julia. He's still around near the party. And Julia left him a voicemail and was like, you didn't come home, we're over. Sam is like, Henry, you didn't sing at the mandatory karaoke. You still have to sing something. And so he sings a sad, less drunk a cappella version of Wild World. I do think this might be my favorite episode. Once I talk about the last 3 episodes, maybe my opinion will change, but as of right now, I think that this may be my favorite episode. Episode 11 is called Perestroika, and when I saw that as the title, I was like, wait a second, I know this term. from one place and one thing only. And it's not a history book, I can tell you that much. Hold on. Come on, Sharon, Wheels, come with me. It's from all the times that I read Angels in America in undergrad. I feel like I am surprisingly bringing up my theater background more times in this video than I expected to. And don't worry, it's going to come up again. To get over Henry's rejection, well, no, first, I don't think I ever mentioned her by name, but Corinne McWatters is a character who Eliza has referenced multiple times. She was the most popular girl in 7th grade and very much bullied Eliza. This is a name that has just sort of existed in the universe here, and right now, to get over Henry's rejection, Eliza channels Corinne and is like, what would she do? So she ignores Henry. Charmonique tries to smooth things over between the two of them, but Henry says that he's being mature about this and Eliza is not. And also that Eliza needs to solve her own issues. Eliza's apartment right now is a mess. She is not really handling this rejection well. Bryn's friends go over to Eliza's apartment and they're like, we've been trying to get your attention for a while. We've been trying to contact you about your car's extended warranty. No, they've been trying to contact Eliza. The building manager has been contacting Eliza, and she has not been answering the door. She has not been answering any of the letters. Basically, the building manager is about to kick her out of the apartment because of all of the messes that she has made. She's behind on all of her bills. Things are not looking very good for Eliza right now. At work, Henry goes in for his annual performance review. And this performance review, okay, I have never been to a job that has a performance review in this kind of way, so let me know if this is normal. So the performance review here is all of the employees basically just like filled out a form about whether they liked the other person or not, or basically just like what their thoughts on the other person was. That has never been a performance review that I've ever had. Henry goes to Sam's office and most people gave neutral to positive things to say, and one person gave a negative review, and he is convinced that it is Eliza, and she's trying to ruin his work reputation by giving him a bad professional review. I mean, she's done it in the past.
Have you ever heard of something so incredibly ignorant?
So, like, I kind of get it. But anyway, so Eliza goes to Charmonique and she's like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to afford anything. I'm like behind on all my bills, all my credit cards, like have a ton of debt on them. She still owes Charmonique $60,000. That's not even brought up. Charmonique is like, you know who the best person to talk to about this would be? Henry. And Eliza's like, I am not talking to Henry about this. But Charmonique is like, go be an adult and talk to him.
Things got weird between us, and so my only recourse is to ignore him until one of us dies.
Or you could try being a grown woman.
I am a grown woman!
Then go wash your ass and talk to Henry. Hashtag hygiene first. Hashtag Team Charmonique.
Eliza stays at a hotel for the night while everything with her apartment is figured out, and at first all of her cards are declined. But she realizes that she has enough rewards on her credit card that she can stay at the most expensive room in the hotel. Freddie joins her and they do room service, they do all the other stuff. Basically, they use up all of her rewards. After this, she realizes that like she needs to make money somehow. So she tries to sell her old gift cards, like things that are like half used. She tries to sell them at a profit and Charmonique is like, no. Like, you can't do that. Henry asks Raj if Eliza was the one who sent in a bad review, and Raj is like, I cannot tell you that. I cannot break the confidentiality of human resources. But eventually he does say that Eliza was not the person to give the bad review. So now Henry's like, wait a second, like if it wasn't her, then who did give the bad review? And also, it means that Eliza did not give a bad review. He goes to his office and he realizes that Eliza is sleeping there. He's like, I'll help you set up a budget. I'll help figure everything out. You can't stay at my office overnight, so go stay at my place. When she starts to ask questions about that, Henry's like, I'm going to go stay with Julia. You can have the house to yourself. But Henry's not staying with Julia because remember they broke up in a previous episode. He just hasn't told Eliza that yet. So Henry stays at a hotel.
Stop snooping through my things.
Okay. Sorry. Do you have hidden cameras in here or something?
Stop waving. There are no hidden cameras. I just know you.
Turn down service.
No, thank you.
Who was that?
That was Julia. pretending to be a hotel maid.
Huh.
Asking if I want to turn down service.
While Eliza is at Henry's, Julia actually comes over to drop things off, which then makes Julia think that Eliza is there while Henry is there. But also, Eliza realizes that Henry is not with Julia and that the two of them must have broken up.
What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same thing. Oh, I don't know why I'm surprised. I should have known Henry would move on to your cultish Titian hair delights. Here. Please see that he gets his water pick. I wouldn't want Henry's gums to be any less tight.
Henry organizes everything for Eliza, all of her bills, sets up a budget plan, all things like that. And Eliza's like, now you're like truly realizing how much of a mess I really am.
I guess you really know what a mess I am now.
No, you're just in your 20s. Wasn't that long ago that I was subject to my own fiscal foibles.
Really?
Let's just say there's a Blockbuster in Ann Arbor, Michigan that is still wondering what happened to their only copy of Scream 2.
Like, I know that that is just a line that Henry is telling Eliza, but I do kind of feel like that's like the writers saying that to the audience. Because, like, yeah, a good amount of the audience for this show is probably like teens and people in their 20s. So I think that saying a line like that is just a sort of like line to the audience, and I really liked that. Henry mentions to Eliza the single negative review that he got and mentions the phrasing, and Eliza is like, oh, that has to be Charlie.
Well, thank you. Thank you. This means a lot.
You're most welcome. Spread the word around the office, would you? I'm not really a bit of a poop after all.
Bit of a poop. That's what Charlie calls you.
He does?
Well, yeah, but not a full poop, just like a bit of a poop.
That piece of shit.
And Henry's like, why would Charlie give me a negative review? Remember, Charlie is Henry's assistant. I realize I haven't mentioned Charlie in a while. I definitely did mention that Charlie is Henry's assistant. I do know that I brought that up. In my notes, I'm like, I don't remember if I brought up his name or not, but I know that I did. Back at Eliza's apartment, she's there with Freddie, and she asks, like, why didn't he offer to have Eliza stay with him when she didn't know what was going on with her apartment? Why did he let her stay at a hotel? Why did he join her at the hotel? Like, why didn't he offer to let her stay with him? That's what Henry did. Henry, in a single moment, saw that Eliza didn't have anywhere to go and was like, stay at my place. Why didn't Freddie do that? That's Eliza's question. Why didn't Freddie do that? Did I even mention that Eliza and Freddie got back together? I don't think I mentioned that, but they do. They're back together. Freddie says that the reason why he didn't do that is because Eliza broke up with him when things were starting to get too serious. He thought that by saying, stay with me in my apartment, he thought that that would like make her push away. But if he had things the way that he wanted, then she would move in with him. Like, that's the direction that their relationship would go in. So the two of them kiss, and Eliza says,
#Team Freddie.
I can only imagine if the show's official Twitter was, like, active with the fans when Eliza says in the episode, #Team Freddie. I wish I could, maybe I will look this up. Actually, no, I feel like at this point, 10 and a half years. That's the math. At this point, 10 and a half years have passed. So I will not find anything Selfie related if I look up Team Freddie. But I can just imagine Twitter and Tumblr that I would not be happy at the end of this. As somebody who I loved the whole shipping culture for TV shows. Once it got to real people, that was weird. Oh my god, I wish I could just like go back in time to see what this was like as it was airing. Oh, that would be so much fun. Having Eliza say in the episode #Team Freddie, a slap in the face to the Team Henry shippers. Having Freddie and Eliza be the confirmed ship on the show. Oh, okay. Anyway, after that, Eliza asks Henry if he and Julia have plans for the weekend, and Henry is like, oh, I don't know what we're going to be doing this weekend. Like, we don't really have plans yet. Eliza doesn't tell him that Julia came to the house the day before. But she does say, like, I'm sorry that things didn't work out between you and Julia, which confirms that she did figure this out. So that's that episode. How much do we trust Wikipedia? Because this episode is labeled Stick in the Mud, but on Wikipedia it's also labeled as Psych or Psyche. That's the only place that I have ever seen it listed as that, so I don't know if it had one title and then it changed to be another. I'm not sure. There's not even any, like, links listed there. It's just the text. So just for consistency, episode 12 is called Stick in the Mud. In this episode, Eliza's older sister Bethany is coming to visit, and Eliza does not get along with Bethany. She doesn't really get along with anybody in her family, and so she is not looking forward to this. She doesn't even really want to tell anybody about her family. She has been lying this whole time.
Your sister has called for the umpteenth time.
Your sister? You told me your family was lost at sea.
Well, somebody must have Tom Hanks her ass back to civilization and given her this number, which she can be reached at.
My sister's not lost at sea, okay? She's found on land. My whole entire family is alive, unfortunately.
Eliza, you should never wish your family dead.
Oh, I have. But only after my brother stabbed me that one time.
Henry especially is like, you should try to patch things up with your sister. Henry says that all siblings are a little bit competitive and that maybe Bethany has changed as she's gotten older. KinderCare is doing their annual 10K run, and Henry always wins this. He loves the 10K run. But Sam announces that this year, instead of doing the 10K, they're going to be doing a mud run, which was Freddie's idea. And if I've painted a decent picture of Henry so far, you can imagine that he would not like this mud run that is disregarding any character growth from episode 5. Freddie keeps flirting with Eliza in the workplace, and Eliza's like, I thought we were getting serious, and Freddie's like, yeah, that's why I got us tickets to Pippin.
Look, I just thought we were getting more serious, and serious couples are supposed to do more than just dirty talk.
Yeah, I know. So I got us matinee tickets to Pippin.
What the?
And I need to go on a little tangent real quick. Hold on, I think I need to change my costume for this. Every time a TV show that I watch mentions something theater related, something being on Broadway or anything like that, I always fact check it. You may be thinking, Sam, that's really ironic that you're wearing a Something Rotten shirt while talking about this because Something Rotten didn't premiere on Broadway until 2015. And you're about to fact check a show that happens in 2014? Well, yes, because my two options were this or the Broadway revival of Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which also was in 2015. I did not think about this part when I was back home and had more options. I give this show a thumbs up for accuracy. The timing works out. Selfie aired in the fall of 2014, and the recent revival of Pippin opened on Broadway in April 2013 and closed in January 2015. So Freddie getting Eliza tickets for the Broadway production of Pippin, that works out. Totally accurate. I could believe it. Except, where does this take place? Wait a second. Hold on. No, because in episode 5, Sam invited Henry and Eliza to his house in Santa Barbara, and that is in California. I'm not looking up where Santa Barbara is. I know that. I'm looking up to see if they ever mention where the rest of this takes place. Hello, so I was editing this and I realized that my little East Coast based brain made two embarrassing mistakes. Let's start with the more embarrassing one. So it had been so long since I had watched episode 3, A Little Yelp from My Friends, and I did not write in my notes that they mentioned being in LA, that I forgot that this took place in LA and that it was confirmed in the episode that it took place in LA. I cut the rest of what I said after everything that you just saw. I'm going to put in this one clip right now where I am deep diving, trying to figure out where it says anywhere where the show takes place. Hold on, I'm looking at fandom.com right now to see if there is any information about where the series could take place. KinderCare Pharmaceuticals is the workplace of the main characters in the upcoming television show Selfie. I have so many questions. I could have just watched the show and known the answer to that. The second embarrassing thing isn't really that embarrassing. Actually, the knowledge of this might be more embarrassing. As I mentioned, I'm from the East Coast. I have always been from the East Coast. The two places that I have ever lived are on the East Coast. So when the show took place in 2014 and mentioned going to see Pippin, I assumed it was the 2014 Broadway production of Pippin. As I was rewatching this episode, I realized at no point did they mention Broadway.
So I got us matinee tickets to Pippin.
So my idea that this could have taken place in New York, that was just an assumption on my end. I was not taking into account that the national tour of the survival of Pippin had already begun in the fall of 2014. And that includes the Los Angeles stop. According to ibdb.com, which you might not know about unless you're a theater person, it's basically IMDb, but for theater. The national tour of Pippin for the latest revival was in Los Angeles from October 21st, 2014 through November 9th, 2014. So that still takes place with the timeline of the show, given the fact that it aired in the fall of 2014. The one thing, if we want to get like really technical, is that this episode aired on December 23rd, 2014. So technically, Freddie's saying that they have upcoming tickets to Pippin when the tour would have already left at that point, but that's also assuming that the episodes of Selfie take place on the day that they air, which I feel like that's just assuming too much. Assuming that the universe of Selfie is taking place live when we watch it, I'm not going to do that. So I still give Selfie an accurate rating for theater time and place and all that. I'm sure I will talk about shows in the future that are very much not accurate. I can think of a list in my head already of shows that are not accurate with the shows that they mention.
To celebrate our impending win at Nationals, I got us all 13 tickets to Broadway's longest running show ever, Cats.
Yeah, you did.
You might want to check the dates on those tickets, Rachel, because Cats closed about 11 years ago.
But Selfie, I'll give it to them. I apologize for doubting you. Anyway, so Freddie is asking why Eliza is acting this way, and is like, is this one of Henry's assignments? Henry can't be in the center of our relationship all the time. And she says, like, no, Henry doesn't have control of my life. At that point, her sister starts calling, and Henry did tell her that she had to answer if her sister calls, so she does. Henry has not signed up for the mud run yet, because, like, he doesn't want to, but Sam is like, no, you have to sign up for the mud run. It's mandatory. This whole scene starts with Henry and Freddie being in the elevator together, and I thought this was going to be a, like, don't interfere in my relationship kind of thing, but then when Sam comes in, it goes in a whole different direction.
Gee, Freddie, could you just move to your left? Sure. Yeah, that's great. And in this corner, the Adonis, carved out of Italian-Canadian marble, not an ounce of wasted mass on his exquisite frame. Who will be the victor? We may never know, as Henry has yet to nut up. Dude, nut up.
I'm sorry, but I was conditioning my body for the rigors of 10 kilometers.
Oh, come on, Gramps, change it up.
Gramps?
Yeah, it'll keep you young, you know? Shock your system. He's right. I surprise my body every day, which is not easy, because my body knows me so. Ooh, push-ups! My body didn't see that coming.
Bam! Joke's on you, Quads. Thought you had a nice leisurely chat with Henry? Nope, 20 reps, 4 sets. Let's go. Come on, Henry, get it.
Hold your bloodstream. Let's get you oxygenated, shall we?
Dude, did you just speak French to your bloodstream?
This show always keeps me on my toes. Eliza cleans her house for her sister's arrival, and she brags about like how great her life is, how everything's going well, and Bethany is like, guess what, I'm pregnant! So that makes Eliza realize that like, oh, like Bethany coming to visit isn't actually about like coming to see Eliza, it's actually just about her. Eliza goes to Henry to tell him this, but Henry has been like watching all of these videos about Freddie do these mud runs to try to prepare himself for it. Eliza is like, well, why don't you just like ask Freddie and he can help you prepare for it? And Henry's like, no, I don't want to do that. Like Freddie doesn't like me. And Eliza's like, Freddie doesn't like you because he thinks that you don't like him. So maybe the two of you should try to bond. Like you should try to get to know each other. So Henry and Freddie make plans to prepare for this mud run together. At the race, there's immediate tension between Eliza and Bethany and between Henry and Freddie. All of Eliza's coworkers love Bethany. They think that she's great. They think that she's so nice. And Eliza is like, why does everybody love her so much? Eliza's like really mad about this because it feels like Bethany's like disregarding every time that she's like hurt her feelings and made her feel small.
I would be so honored if you use Shamanique as a middle name. Now, I don't know how the time went by, but I best be on my way.
I know you can do it.
I can do it.
How?
How what?
How do you know she can do it? If you know the first thing about Shamanique, you would know that she probably can't do it, and she's going to hurt herself trying.
I was just trying to be positive.
No, you were just trying to have her walk away thinking, oh, wow, what a great person. But you and I both know the truth.
What truth?
That you're not a great person. Every single thing you've ever done is designed to make me feel like crap. I mean, isn't that why you really came here this weekend?
I came here this weekend to tell you I'm having a baby.
Well, congratulations on making yet another human being who will think you're better than me.
Henry and Freddie compete during the race. I need you to know, I'm going to put the clip in. There's one moment where they're like crawling in the mud, and it's like under some wire, and I said out loud, I said, is that barbed fucking wire? Clearly it's not, because it's a TV show, so like obviously they're not crawling under barbed wire. But like, is this a thing? Mud runs are so outside of the world that I live in. I don't know anything about this. Is that common? Oh my god. Ow. Like, there's one point where somebody actually hits it. Like, you can see that it's not like tight because somebody hits it and it like shakes a bit. I was speechless. I was kind of speechless. Anyway, the run continues and Henry and Freddie start like physically fighting with each other.
You're insanely jealous of my youth, my girl, my kick-ass hair. Oh, beg pardon. My hair kicks ass in its own right. My hair dreams about being my hair. Hair is not sentient and thus cannot dream. Literally. You know what I can't dream about? How many stupid bow ties you must own.
Back at Eliza's apartment, Eliza tells Bethany that she feels like Bethany always blamed her for everything that went wrong with the family. Bethany is like, no, I don't blame you for everything that went wrong with our family. I blame our parents for that. We were just kids who were caught in the middle of it all. And so the two of them make up. Henry and Freddie tie for second place in the race. And once all the mud is washed away, we realize that like the physical fight that the two of them got in was like, it was a very physical fight. Who did win the race? Charmonique. In a voiceover, Eliza says that a little bit of rivalry can be good, which contradicts the earlier episode when the whole moral of it all was that we shouldn't compete with each other. But anyway, you know what? That's episode 12. Episode 13. Last episode. Episode 13 is called I Woke Up Like This. The episode starts with Eliza telling us her morning routine. She tells us how she gets ready, and it takes so long that she ends up missing a brunch that's happening in the morning about women in the pharmaceutical industry. Henry is like, I can't believe that you missed that just to get ready for the day. That could have been a really good career opportunity for you, a really good professional opportunity. And basically he tells her, you should find a good role model.
I thought you were my role model.
Me? No. Mentor, possibly. Advisor, certainly.
Sensei.
Of sorts.
Elder.
Okay, we're done playing this game. Point B's. I'm not your role model. A role model is someone whose life you aspire to. Do you want my life?
Okay.
No. Not okay. This is something you should be thinking seriously about. You should find someone whose path you want to walk.
So Eliza goes around the office asking women for life advice.
As someone who is way older than me, you've had a pretty good life, right?
It's been adequate.
And what advice would you give someone hoping to attain a lifestyle you are currently living?
You can never have too much bath tissue.
So it wasn't going to be Joan.
During that previous conversation, Eliza finds out that Henry used to really like skateboarding when he was a kid. And so off screen, she tells this to Charmonique, and Charmonique is like, oh, like, my son Kevin wants to learn how to skateboard. Eliza told me that you used to really like skateboarding, and also that you really find the value and importance of role models.
She also told me how passionately you feel about the importance of role models. And who needs a role model more than a hypertense 10-year-old with sleep apnea and no male presence?
Okay, fine. I will teach him a few things, but this will not be an everyday occurrence.
After going around the office, Eliza didn't really like any of the answers that people were giving her. So she's like, who do I really want to emulate? Corinne McWatters. I've mentioned Corinne McWatters before. So she looked up what Corinne had been up to, and it seemed like her life was like going pretty good now. She was publishing a book, she was posting online about like her family, all this stuff that she was doing. Henry is like, this isn't what I meant when I said find a role model. But Corinne is doing a book signing for her newly published book, and it's like happening nearby. So Eliza's like, Henry, do you want to come with me? And he says, sure. Henry is trying to teach Kevin how to skateboard, but at this point he's more teaching him the history of skateboarding rather than actually how to do anything.
When approaching a skateboard, one must always be mindful. Yes, Kevin, what is it?
I have no agilities.
That's true, he doesn't.
Fortunately, one needn't be agile to skate. However, one must be knowledgeable. So, we begin in 1972.
Some kids come by on skateboards and they're like, you should go to the skate park with us. And Kevin is like, yeah, this sounds great. And Henry is like, yes, the skate park. We should go. Things are starting to be a little weird there. Why? Eliza goes to the book signing, and when Corinne is telling the story of this book and how her childhood really played a big role in it, she tells the story of her childhood and how she wasn't popular and how she was bullied and how she was voted most butt in the yearbook. And Eliza's like, that's my life story. That happened to me.
Once at a sleepover, popular girls cut off my hair. I cried and cried. The only thing that could comfort me was my maman's French onion soup. Page 29.
That was my story. Except for the soup part. As I recall, I pity binged on Snackwells and Crystal Pepsi. But other than that, can you believe this? Huh? That bitch stole my life.
Eliza's brought outside by security, and Henry is like, this is why I didn't think that she would be a good role model for you. And Eliza's like, I don't need a lesson from you right now. She just stole my life and is profiting from it. After she leaves, Henry has a quick conversation with the security guard, and the security guard tells Henry that when you're young, you tell people all sorts of things just to seem cool. And Henry says,
I used to tell people I was good at skateboarding, even though I wasn't. Thought it made me seem cool.
You're not cool.
oh? Henry goes to Eliza's house and is like, you need to stand up for yourself against Corinne. It seems slightly out of character for Henry, but also with it being the season finale, I was like, no, I actually kind of really like to see this. Eliza and Henry both go to confront Corinne, who does not recognize Eliza. I mean, aside from the night before.
Eliza? Wow, I haven't said this since I became a mother, but holy you look amazing.
I know.
You're like a totally different person.
No, you are a totally different person. Specifically, my person. More specifically, the person I used to be.
To be super specific, you stole her identity.
Which, depending on the state, is anything from a first-degree felony to a third-degree misdemeanor. So kiss your kids goodbye, Corinne. You're going to prison.
She's not going to prison.
That's a different kind of identity theft. She was never that bright.
This was a really bad idea. Let's just get out of here.
Eliza. I'm sorry I stole your sad sack, most but non-existent.
Apology accepted. Thanks, Corinne.
But I just need that backstory more than you do. No one wants life lessons and dinner planning ideas from a still gorgeous former mean girl.
Former mean girl?
You just burned Corinne McWaters.
Now you try.
Hey, Corinne. Your quick and easy dinner ideas are neither quick nor easy. I tried to make one last night, and it took me forever, and it tasted like crap.
It's more of a burn on you, but really good try.
Yeah. I did it.
Eliza and Henry leave, and they're feeling much better about themselves. Eliza decides that she doesn't need a role model. She has become her own role model, seeing where she was in her life before and who she is now. But she also becomes a bit more accepting of who she was in the past. Instead of pushing away that 7th grade self that she's tried to ignore, she's like, that's a part of me too. And so she cuts her hair, she puts on her glasses, and she realizes that Freddie accepts her for that part of her as well. Freddie just generally accepts her for who she is. And this makes her feel even more confident. The episode ends with Henry going to the skate park with a bunch of kids, and he has his arm in a cast because, wait, did I not mention this before? He goes to the skate park and he really falls. This was with Eliza earlier, but now it's afterwards. He has his arm in a cast, and one of the kids writes "no fears" on it, and telling him to be brave. The kids also tell him that he should go after Eliza. That should be one of the things that he should be brave about and not be scared. We get a 2-minute montage of all of these Henry and Eliza moments, sort of going back to the start. I do think it's in like reverse order. It's like a full 2-minute montage of their whole relationship that we've seen so far. What a time for 2010s shipping culture. That was it right there. I was watching it and I was like, I missed this feeling. Like, the shows that I watch now, it's not the same. I mean, granted, like, what other shows am I watching right now? I'm watching Taskmaster. But no, I'm watching, like I don't know, like, Yellow Jackets does not give me that same feeling. I'm watching Severance right now. It's definitely not the same. There's something about the 2010s shipping. He tells them that next time he sees Eliza...
Next time I'll be ready.
But there is no next time, because that's the end. Okay, let's take a break. I'm going to come back to this in a second. I told myself that I was going to finish all of the recording today, and if I didn't take a very long break to start editing, it would not be 12:23 in the morning. But I started at noon, so 12 hours? That's actually pretty good. So I generally knew the show Selfie, and I generally knew the story of My Fair Lady. I did not know that this is how the series of Selfie ended, and it makes sense that the season 1 of Selfie does not end the same way that My Fair Lady or Pygmalion ends, because there ideally is a second season for TV shows, so you don't want to end the story the way that its source material does if you want it to go on for longer. But I was still so taken aback when that was the ending. I was like, what? Wait. Apparently I say taken aback more than most people in my friends' lives. Either I am easily taken aback, or I am in many many situations where that is the appropriate response emotionally. Anyway, so when I finished the finale, I was like, how is it supposed to end here? So I started thinking about what I would have wanted to see if I was a writer on the second season. Something that I think is really interesting on this show is family and found family. I love found family. It's one of my favorite tropes. In the first season, we do see Eliza and her sister, and we also have Eliza have a phone call with her mother. In the show, we see the family relationships between Sam, his daughter, and his son-in-law. We see Charmonique and her son. We don't really know much, if not anything, about Henry's family. I would like to see more of the families. I think that that's something that I say about every single show. I'm always like, I want to see more of the families. But I think that that's something that would be really interesting here. And also, in My Fair Lady, Eliza's dad is a character in the show. The reason that this was on my mind was because I was thinking about the relationships between the characters in the first season, and I was thinking about how some of the most interesting relationships that we've seen, oh, Freddie and his parents too. I was just really interested in those relationships, and two of the characters that I wrote that I wanted to see more of in a second season were Terrence and Kevin, both of them being characters who are related to the main characters in a family way. So then that just got me thinking about like what other ways can we like incorporate seeing the families and all of that. I don't know, I just thought that would be really interesting. I think seeing Henry's family in particular, to be like how, like, the contrast between Eliza's family and Henry's family, I think that would be interesting. I also would really like to see Eliza like really join the Bryn friend group, because right now, like, her closest friends are Charmonique and Henry, and she's like, I would say friends with Bryn, but not like super close friends with Bryn. I would like to see her truly be in the Bryn friend group. Maybe she's not the closest in the group, but I think that it would be really interesting to see her start to develop her own friendships, like outside of Henry's direct influence. Like, okay, I hope I'm not getting this wrong, but you know the part in like My Fair Lady and Pygmalion and all that when Eliza is like, okay, I can go out into society now because I know everything I need to know, and Henry is like, no, you still need me, and Eliza's like, no, I don't. I think that that would sort of be like the Selfie equivalent to that. Like, Eliza's starting to make her own friends, and maybe Henry is like, wait, does she not need me anymore? Because like at this point, like, they are really close. I think that it would just be really interesting to see Eliza start to make those relationships on her own and not have Henry sort of be there and be like, say this, do this. She is sort of starting to do that on her own. I would like to see Eliza get to a point that she is making these relationships on her own. This would also be a great way to make everybody in the Bryn friend group like individual characters, like who really gets close to Eliza easily, who is like, no, I remember the way that she was before, and I don't think that she can really change, things like that. I think that that would really define all of them in a way that would be really interesting. As much as I said that I would hate this if I was a part of it, as an audience, I love all of the mandatory work assignments that Sam has for the KinderCare employees, the mandatory karaoke, the mandatory mud run, all the stuff like that. So I would want to see more of that. It makes these things high stakes. And like, what is high stakes about karaoke? Karaoke is incredibly high stakes. I don't know what you're talking about. But like, think about any other show that's like, oh, there's karaoke tonight, or like, oh, there's a race or something like that. And like, no, it is mandatory. You have to participate. But also with like a little bit of fun and like a little bit of like whimsy and quirkiness that the show has. I think that we could definitely have more of those in a second season. And Sam is also just like such a fun character. The way that he responded to having a bad sandwich also made me very interested in him, because he says that like Terrence doesn't respond negatively if people are mean to him or anything like that, but like Sam was faced with what he was like, this is awful, the sandwich is bad, I hate it, and he still like, he wasn't that distraught over it, or at least he like didn't show it.
Everything's wrong. Everything. The old sandwich was sweet, salty, creamy, crisp. She was a toothsome journey, but this, it's... Excuse me. Oh, yes, hello. I just picked up 2 of your artisan Sammys. I'm just wondering if we're up against some sort of chutney issue.
Also seeing more scenes with Sam and how he runs KinderCare. Maybe there's some sort of board change and they all need to defend Sam's chair spot or something like that. I don't know. I I just think that more episodes that had like a mandatory from Sam work thing, I really liked those because of how like silly the episode premise would be for us, but how high stakes the episode would be for the characters. I really like that. I would want to see more of those. Henry would obviously go after Eliza. I know that that is what the show was leading towards. I would want to see Eliza like genuinely be conflicted between Freddie and Henry, even though like we all want it to be Henry. I'm saying we, I'm just assuming. I'm just assuming that you also want it to be Freddie. No.
What's it, a birthday say tonight?
I'm just assuming that you also really want it to be Henry, just for the sake of this conversation, but also just because like that's sort of the direction that the show is going in. But I do think it would be interesting to have Eliza be conflicted, and there would be a ton of reasons for her to be conflicted. At the end of this season, she is still dating Freddie, but I think that it would be really interesting to have that conflict at the beginning of the season. Maybe also they're worried about what other people might think. I know we already had the whole HR conversation. Maybe Henry is up for a promotion, and if that's the case, then the like power imbalance in the workplace would be like really far. They're like, oh, like what would the coworkers think? But if in the season they do start a relationship, I would like to see some episodes where Eliza starts to bring Henry out of his comfort zone, sort of like the concert. But one of the issues with their relationship is that Eliza doesn't necessarily realize the boundaries that Henry has, in the sense of like how far he is willing to go out of his comfort zone. And Eliza just like doesn't realize that, because for her it's like, yeah, we're gonna go out. Like we're gonna go out, we're gonna have a party. And Henry's like, no, like I need to take baby steps to get to that point. The way that I sort of framed it in my notes is that maybe like it's not her like outright ignoring boundaries, but a lack of communication between the two of them. And I think that that would be something that the two of them would have to work through, because they are super different. So I think that they would have to work on their communication, and that would be interesting to see. Okay, those are my ideas for season 2. I probably have more in my head, but I just wrote this down like 5 minutes ago. Some of my likes and dislikes, which aren't really in any necessarily order, I just kept adding to the list as I was watching. One of my first things is I loved the soundtrack of the show. I think that this is sort of what I meant earlier when I said that the show was like a time capsule, like yes, in regards to social media, but also so many of the songs being either what I listened to at the time or in the years following. So it did very much feel like like I'm back in that era. I really liked it. And also it was so many songs that like I loved. And I was like, oh, I haven't listened to that song in forever. I'm gonna go listen to it now. I know that people always say that the music that you listen to in like middle school and high school impacts your music taste for the rest of your life. And so I thought that was really funny when so many songs that I listened to in the mid to late 2010s were on this show, and I was like, oh wow, like did this actually impact me more than I thought? Maybe I'm biased, but also I think that the soundtrack was really good. Similar to that, I loved the theme song. I know I already mentioned that, but I loved the theme song. I think that the visual was cool, the evolution of the selfie, starting with the person looking in the water and seeing their reflection, to then it eventually being like taking a selfie with the camera, and then it being both Eliza and Henry being in the picture together. I thought that was really cool. I really loved it, and the song is just really cute. Like I was singing it every time I was watching the episode. I was just like, I never skipped it. There are some shows that I never skip the theme song, and this was one of them. I think that this was a really good adaptation. And you may be saying two things. One, Sam, you admitted in this that you don't fully remember either aspects of the source material. And two, you might be saying, Sam, there are so many differences between this and the source material. To which I say, yes, sure. But here's the thing about adaptations, in my opinion. Like, I want to see something that takes the source material and makes it different. So an adaptation. The concept of taking My Fair Lady and Pygmalion and then making it about social media, like that's cool. That's just an interesting concept. It's kind of like how there are so many things now, like so many movies and musicals and TV shows, and it's always like, it's like a Cinderella story, or it's a Romeo and Juliet story, things like that. But like, are they actually interesting? Like, are they actually making it something that has not been done before? Could it stand on its own if we didn't know what the source material was? Is knowing the source material an addition to make it a better story? Is it a good enough story on its own? I think that this took the original story and made it accessible to modern audiences. I say modern audiences as if My Fair Lady was like 100 years old. It came out in the 50s. But you know what I mean? Making it about a young woman who is really interested in social media, like, that makes it relatable to audiences, to the people who are watching it. And I think that was really cool. I think just the concept of it is really cool. My note here was, we're in an era where so many things are remakes. Like, we're getting shot-for-shot remakes and jukebox musicals, and the movie theaters are full of franchise movies that I didn't care to see the first one, but I would love to see more adaptations like this. I think it's really creative. And here's the problem. I say I want to see more of this, and I also say I want to write for TV. And this is when you all tell me, Sam, why don't you just write what you want to see? So at least I know how to call myself out. One of the problems that I have with the show is I did talk about how some of it's very dated in the 2014. It is so strange to me how shows that I watched in middle school and high school, like, you watch that and you're like, this could not air today. Like, something about it is so dated. Think about Glee specifically. Like, and so many other shows at the time, it's like, it's not even that old. Like, it hasn't even been out for that long. And I wouldn't say things like that necessarily for Selfie. There are some things that they said that I was like, what? I think there were a couple lines I literally just like gasped, because I was like, where did this come from? I'm gonna put in a couple of them here because I was trying to figure out how I could put them in this video, but I didn't think it would make sense in the actual episode summary. So you know what, actually, yeah, here is my compilation of the moments in the episodes that made me say, what?
You need to become the kind of person who doesn't spend all her time thinking about the opposite sex.
So like a lesbian.
Team, take a look around you. What do you see?
Windows?
Todd from accounting.
Bagels? Darkness? Endless night?
If you two put a fraction of your narcissistic energy into solving the issues currently plaguing our society, perhaps rising sea levels, autism, and the rapidly dwindling bee population would be things of the past.
The courageous kitty. What's so courageous about her? Did she come out to her parents? Huh?
In fact, the very surface of your cellular device is home to thousands of germs, microbes, and bacteria capable of causing everything from pneumonia to diphtheria and quite possibly...
AIDS?
No, not AIDS.
Ebola? Those are the two I'm really worried about.
There's our #1 sales rep, my little shooting star.
Me? No. I am consistently late to work, and sometimes I turn in receipts for personal expenses.
Well, you know who else was a bit of a rule breaker? Harriet Tubman. Like you, she had a lot of followers. Yeah, a lot of followers. How many followers would you say you have?
Across all platforms, roughly 300,000, sir.
Wow. That's significantly more than Tubman. Although, to be fair, she did have a lot more on her plate than you do.
I actually said the rest of this at an earlier point. So, that's it. Okay. I didn't write my final thoughts, so I gotta think of something on the spot here. I really enjoyed watching the show. I don't think I've watched a show for this channel and left it saying like, oh, I really didn't like this show. I did genuinely really like it. If you were like me, if anything that I've said about me and my 2014 life experience sounds familiar to you, I recommend watching Selfie. Or really, honestly, just like, I think it's just a fun show. Maybe it's the fact that a lot of the TV shows that I watch are like not comedies. Maybe I should watch more comedies. Like I should watch more comedies. Because the past couple of months, what have I been watching? Yellow Jackets, Severance. What else have I been watching? I watched a little bit of Lost recently. Once I get the login to HBO, I'm gonna watch 6 Feet Under. Maybe it's just the fact that the shows that I watch aren't like sitcoms like this, that I'm like, this was just like so nice to watch. I loved the characters. I think that was so much fun. And I do think that knowing the source material even just a little bit just adds something to it. But like I mentioned earlier, the My Fair Lady aspect of it is very much the pilot setting up the rest of it. After that, it's its own story. And I really like that. I think, yeah, the characters were great. The situations that they were in were fun. Even the moments that were a little bit more serious, like it didn't keep you in a serious emotion for too long. And as I say about all of the shows that I talk about on this channel, it's not that long of a watch. It's 13 21-minute episodes, technically 14 episodes, one of them being 26 minutes. I recommend it. It's only available on Facebook, so you do have to go there, but it is all there. It's It's there. It's not mirrored or anything. Like, the entire episode is there. And also, there's some bonus content. Oh wait, I just realized something. No, because I started to say this and I didn't. So as much as I say that I want Eliza and Henry to be together and I want them to be the endgame relationship, who am I to say what I want? What is my voice in in the world of Selfie? Let's hear what Karen Gillan has to say.
You want to know who Eliza would end up choosing? Yeah, it has to be Henry. Like, it has to be. Played by John Cho, who is the most wonderful, amazing actor. He's from Star Trek. Yeah, I think it has to be those two.
Will you tell me, like, will you pretend to be Eliza and just say,
Okay, I'm gonna pretend you're Henry. It was always you.
In Selfie.
Yeah, they canceled it. I'm so sorry
Oh
about that. Was
yeah,
awesome.
I'm sorry that we didn't ever get to the end. Okay, well I'll make up the end. So Henry decides.
Come on, make it a good one.
Henry decides to man up and goes to Eliza's apartment and declares his love for her, and she's like, I love you too. And they live happily ever after and open their own pharmaceutical company where they sell really good drugs.
Ending ever.
That was good. I was really hoping for like a pirate or something exciting thrown in there as well.
But just drugs.
Just drugs, yeah. So and then that's the prequel to Breaking Bad.
if it hadn't been canceled, where do you think Eliza, what direction would she go in? What would happen with her and Henry?
Oh, right. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously they're supposed to be together, Eliza and Henry. I like to think that they would have got together, they would have got married in Vegas, and they would open up a pharmaceutical company together and, yeah, be like this pharmaceutical power couple with ginger Korean babies.
I forgot to mention earlier that one of the reasons why Selfie was added onto Hulu was because there was an online campaign for it, similar to what there was with Willow. And something that I just love with this channel, I think I cut the part where I said this earlier, but one of the things that I really like with this channel is introducing people to shows that they haven't heard of before. I really like that a lot more than talking about shows that everyone's already heard of or talking about shows that people have already talked about. Like, there's plenty of one-season shows that I'm like, oh, that would be a fun video. Everyone else has already talked about it, though. So I really recommend this one because I never hear anybody talking about it, but it's a good show. The actors are great. I love it. Like, it's fun. I think that that is all that I have to say, so let me know in the comments below, did you watch this show when it came out? Do you remember when it was canceled? Did you not watch it, but you saw the posts about it on Tumblr or on Twitter, and you were like, you know what? I'm not going to watch it now. I'm going to wait 11 years for somebody to post a 2-hour video about it on YouTube, and that's how I'll find out about it. Or have you never heard of the show at all, and is this your first introduction to it? Let me know in the comments below if there are any other one-season TV shows that you want me to talk about. I will add it to my list. I literally do have a list. It's like a spreadsheet, and I have all the information for it. So I will add all of these recommendations that you're putting in. And yeah, that's it. It's 1 a.m., so I'm gonna go to bed now. Okay, bye. Thank you.